look that you're looking for.
No, I really don't care. It's covering up my chin.
No, you do. No, you do. We do care. Do you know? Do you put conditioner in?
Of course I do, yeah.
Do you?
Yes.
Do you do it?
I do, yeah. Shampoo,
Do you not get very
conditioner.
itchy?
It's the only hair that I have, so I pretend.
Are you
it's
making
on-
the most of it?
I pretend
Or
it's
is
on the
this
top
like,
of my
do you know,
head.
sometimes.
Yeah.
Is this
Look,
it?
It's comfort hair.
You could grow it and you could pull it back.
I tried that. It doesn't reach.
Doesn't work. Grow it out, good luck.
All right, Lee, well done to you. Lee had to tackle a bit of technical demons this morning, so to get a show out at all, I think you did really well. Right, it is a little after 9, whilst we resolved some of those issues, but they're all done and dusted now, so let's get a news update from Donald Kavanagh. Good morning, Donald.
Thank you, Greg. Good morning. Letterkenny is about to see an unprecedented level of building and regeneration work. Local councillors are set to hold a workshop to discuss how they can secure and repurpose derelict buildings in the town with compulsory purchase orders to follow where appropriate. The council's been invited to apply for monies under the third round of the Urban Regeneration and Development Fund. Councillor Michael McBride says that means significant investment is in the offing.
I think, over the next couple of years, we're going to see a lot of these projects starting to move. And I would say, in the next 7 or 8 years, you'll see a massive change in Letterkenny, like from the Church Lane, the Market Square, right into Lower Main Street. I think it's all positive for the town in Letterkenny. Said in there, and the meeting, it's the best news I've had as a councillor, to be honest about it, since I came in here 12 or 13 years ago.
The Social Protection Minister, Heather Humphreys, says Deputy Pearse Doherty's Dáil motion on a spring bonus and cost of living supports was nothing more than a political stunt. It was tabled by the Sinn Féin finance spokesperson last night, amid claims the coalition is out of touch and has failed to tackle the crisis. Minister Humphreys said no political party or person has a monopoly on compassion. She told the Dáil this government has done more than any of its predecessors. However, Deputy Doherty told the Dáil that every analysis published in recent weeks and months shows the situation now is more bleak than ever, and he said those on lower incomes are disproportionately affected.
Those on lower incomes, they spend a greater proportion of their income on essentials such as energy and on food, and those essentials have seen the steepest rise in costs over the past year and more, and they're pushing households to the brink, Minister. Workers and families have stretched and they've managed their income to the last cent, but there comes a point for every single family where there's nothing left to cut, and that's what we're seeing today in many families right across the state, an increase in hardship, in financial difficulties and in poverty.
The recommendation of a report to reject universal basic income by the Commission on Taxation and Welfare has been described as fundamentally flawed. Social Justice Ireland says the analysis underpinning the recommendation contains serious errors around taxation, its cost of funding, and its impact on poverty and income distribution. And the Midlands North West MEP has warned that the region is falling behind economically. When EU regional funding was calculated for the period from 2021 to 2027, the region was classed in the middle with a below-average GDP. But Fine Gael's Colin Markey says it's now lagging even further behind. He says other local authorities need to follow the example of Donegal County Council and dedicate its staff to identify and secure more EU funding. He says it's the only way the region will catch up with the rest of the country.
The Green Deal, the Digital Europe, Erasmus, Peace Plus, there's multiples of different programmes that are there. If the like of the county councils had a person, expert at knowing where the funding was, number one, and supporting groups and indeed the council itself at putting applications forward, that would make a significant difference.
Mostly dry weather with spells of hazy sunshine developing for a time this morning. However, this afternoon, a spell of rain will begin to edge into the region. Top temperatures today 9 to 11 degrees Celsius in moderate to fresh southwest winds. That's Island Radio News. Back with news in full at 10 o'clock.
Morning. The usual, please.
There you go, Aisling.
Thanks. Just what I need.
Perfect. See you tomorrow. When customers shop at independent businesses like mine, they get more and give more, because what they spend here multiplies and helps the local economy with a ripple effect that benefits me, but also helps
Me.
me.
And my independent business too.
Visa. Where you shop matters.
And now, it's time for the talk of the Northwest, the 9 to noon show with Greg Hughes on Highland Radio.
Okay, good morning. It's 5 minutes past 9 on this Wednesday, the 15th of February, 2023. You're very welcome along to another edition of the 9 till noon show. Great to have you on board. Hopefully we'll keep you informed and entertained over the next 3 hours. We've got loads lined up, but we want you to have your say on various matters, as you're already doing. Thank you so much indeed. And just a reminder for you folks too, and thankfully so many of you do, that listen to the repeat overnight. Maybe you're on night shifts. Some people don't sleep so well. We really appreciate you listening. It's probably, about 5 or 6 minutes past 1 at the moment, maybe a bit earlier. But anyway, you can still get involved in the show the same as people who listen live do. That goes for the podcast too. Just text or WhatsApp 086 60 25,000, 086 60 25,000, and we'll pick up your texts in the morning. If you're listening live, of course, we'll get them right now. And if you're listening live, give us a call on 07491 25,000. And just to remind you, of course, you have the option to watch the show on our social media, Highland Radio Ireland, on YouTube, the Facebook channels, and on our website. Right, let's look at the front of the newspapers this morning. We'll start with the Finn Valley Voice. Seamus Neely, former chief executive of Donegal County Council, says the how to bring a united Ireland into being is more important than the what is, or what it is. He was speaking as a panellist at the Donegal People's Assembly in a packed Ballard Arts Theatre in Ballybofey on Monday evening. I'm thinking more about the how rather than the what. I think the how is about listening to communities, trying to figure out where communities have already agreed they want to go to and to capture that. Plenty more in the paper today on that. On to the Donegal Post this morning. More Gardaí were needed on the streets of Donegal town and its environs. That was the call from local councillor Tom Conahan when he addressed the issue at yesterday's meeting of the Donegal Municipal District. He tables his motion calling for additional policing resources for the town to assist out with speed limits and other traffic enforcement matters. He also tabled a question that asked for the installation of additional CCTV and an increased Garda presence to act as a deterrent to antisocial behaviour, such as an incident they had during the last weekend of January. Councillor Conahan said his motion was more precautionary than anything else, but he felt it necessary to raise his concerns just in case something more serious happened down the road. The Inish Times, objections lodged against major Carndonagh sporting development. It's the headlines in the Inish Times there. Objections have been lodged against plans by Carndonagh FC for a major sporting development on the outskirts of the town, which is part of a $3 million plan to develop new facilities for the area. The club has applied to Donegal County Council to build a new 2-storey clubhouse and sports hall to include changing and showering facilities, a function room and indoor training pitch at Carrickaffoden. The plans also include 3 outdoor pitches, a main grass pitch, a grass training pitch and a 3G pitch and a walking track. On to the Nationals now, and it's that time of the year where we find out where the government's going for St. Patrick's Day. Listen, I can see the benefit of this, getting out and about and spreading the message that we're open for business or that we're ready to do trade and all that type of stuff. But especially as we're going to read a little later on that they're looking to ban diesel and petrol cars, I don't think it's a false equivalence. It's just a case of it feels again like we're being told this is how we have to live our lives, this is what you have to do. But instead of Zoom meetings or some other mechanism, we've got pretty much the biggest crop of ministers flying out abroad for St. Patrick's Day. What's your views on this? I don't want to look at it narrow-mindedly. Maybe I should look at the bigger picture. 086 60 25,000 is the WhatsApp and text number, or call on 074 91 25,000. Right, well, every cabinet minister is jetting abroad this year for what the government is calling its biggest ever St. Patrick's Day trade mission. Unlike previous years when one or more ministers remained at home during the festival period, all senior ministers will be flying around the world to celebrate Ireland's National Day. In a statement announcing the annual international jet-setting... Sorry, I've missed where I was reading here because some noise came out of my ear. The international jet setting. The government said the St. Patrick's Day programme would be celebrating 100 years of Ireland in the world. Taoiseach Leo Varadkar is travelling to Washington, D.C., while Tánaiste Micheál Martin's flying to New York and Boston. And Green Party leader Eamon Ryan, well, he's going to Singapore and China. And we know he's not cycling. Minister Charlie McConalogue, he's heading off to the far-flung island of New Zealand, though with everything that's going on in there at the moment, they're probably more occupied with other things. But as I say, it would take me too long to list where everybody is going. The world is going to be covered. But as I say, part of me instantly feels like sort of believing that, do as we say, not as we do. But then again, as I say, I also am aware that some of these trade missions deliver big time for some of the industries such as farming.
Tesco Club Card is the power to lower prices for Pancake Tuesday. Odlum's American Pancake.
The leadership of the left group in the European Parliament is to seek answers from Ireland South MEP Mick Wallace after he claimed to have 3 wine bars in Dublin, though none are on the official register of his financial interests. Mr. Wallace made the comment in a social media video.
The power to lower prices.
In a social media video, which was posted, and in it he said, "I have 3 wine bars in Dublin, and I only sell Italian wine, and I import all the products from Italy. Ownership of wine bars was not declared on the declaration of financial interest that MEPs are obliged to make under the Parliamentary Code of Conduct, which was submitted as Mr. Wallace took up his position in 2019. So he made those comments on a social media video posted by, he's described as a hard-right Italian MEP. Let's go to the Irish Daily Mail now, and back to that story I was saying, sort of how sometimes it can feel that we're having to make all the changes, but maybe those who decide what changes we have to make don't make them themselves. Motorists won't be able to buy any new petrol and diesel vehicles within 12 years and will have to switch to using expensive biofuels in old vehicles, the EU has ruled. The vote in the European Parliament, which was welcomed by Green Party leader and Transport Minister Eamon Ryan, means a phasing out of internal combustion engine vehicles and eventually that all new motors on the market in the EU from 2035 should be zero-emission vehicles. So that's mean that hybrids are out of the equation as well. But some leading figures in the motor industry in Ireland believe the targets are a bit ambitious and a stretch. Chief Executive of Fuels for Ireland, Keith McPartland, questioned how commercially viable this move will be. And logistically, it just seems difficult as to how it will be implemented. I mean, will, say, for instance, people working in the farming industry, I take it tractors are involved in this. These are cars, but people who have to draw stuff, 4x4s. I do know Ford and Tesla and a few other companies are starting to introduce vehicles which are good for towing. And I know some other electric vehicles are, but I'm talking about heavy stuff over a distance, and I've yet to see anything that can do that. And I do follow that stuff really quite closely, but we shall see. What do you think? Irish Daily Star this morning, a celebrity is facing up to 5 years in jail if he is convicted after he was charged with 3 sex offences against a child. The man, who's in his late 30s, 39 in fact, was arrested and charged by Specialist Gardaí yesterday morning before appearing in front of Judge John Brennan at Dublin District Court later in the day. The man, who cannot be named for legal reasons, is charged with 3 counts of defilement of a child under the age of 17. Now, he's widely named on Reddit, on Twitter, and most people might be able to work it out. But his legal team asked for his name to be withheld. That has actually happened. But those who know the person behind this and some letters from lawyers and what have you that have been posted here in between some allegations and today will be waiting eagerly to find out how this all plays out. I think also, too, if there is a legal obligation not to mention this person, the alleged victim needs to get justice if that is how the court finds. And I think naming people might feel good for the person that's doing it, but has to be aware that this could be used as a defence. This could be, how could we get a fair trial when the person has been named contrary to a direction from the court, and so on and so forth. So I think anyone who is naming individuals like this, it's not just this case, it's other cases, just be aware that you might feel that you're doing it to support the alleged victim, but what in fact you are doing potentially is offering a defence to the alleged perpetrator. Well, one incident allegedly occurred on December 14th, 2010, another on a date unknown between August 2010 and before January 23rd, 2011, while the third charge was on an unknown date in 2010. Evidence was given by a detective from the Garda's Divisional Protection Services Unit from Kevin Street Station of Arrest and Caution. The team of specially trained officers investigate allegations of sex crimes in the South Dublin area. The court was told the accused made no reply when the charges were put to him. Right, okay, let's go to the Sun now. And a Labour deputy says many of his peers are using drugs. All right, okay, although he doesn't do them himself. I'll be honest with you, I don't know anyone. I think I have a reasonably sized friend group. I don't know anyone that does drugs, do you? I really genuinely don't. I'm not being cute here. But this Labour deputy knows many of his peers are using drugs. But maybe I'm living in some sort of a sheltered reality, but I really genuinely, I'm thinking here, don't know anyone that does drugs. Dublin TD Aidan O'Riordan said, it's not just those from deprived backgrounds, as all parts of society take illegal substances. Talking about the agenda for a new Citizens' Assembly to examine Ireland's policies on drugs, he said, it's quite clear that people in all walks of life and all income brackets take drugs. The difference is that people from certain income brackets or certain areas of the country or certain disadvantaged areas are the ones that end up in court. So they're going to have this assembly to discuss what to do about decriminalising drugs, legalising drugs. We heard from an expert yesterday who has his reservations. He says he deals with the physical and mental impact, health impacts of people who use just cannabis. And I say just cannabis because that's how it's seen, right? And he says he's going to see much, much more of it if they opt to decriminalise or legalise drugs. And finally, in the Irish Daily Mirror, this is the story we were talking about yesterday, in which that a town in England has seen amateur sleuths, amateur detectives, TikTok detectives, to descend down on this town following the disappearance of Nicola Bulley. Detectives searching for Nicola Bulley are looking into who had permits to fish the river when she vanished near its banks. The mum of 45, disappeared during a dog walk along the river Weir on a wire on January 27th, and police think she may have fallen in. Yesterday, it's emerged angling clubs have been approached about who was ticketed to be on the river around that time. It follows claims two men were seen acting strangely the day before and morning Nicola vanished at St Michael's on Wire, Lancs. They were described as wearing dark clothing, hoods or hats, while also carrying fishing rods, which, I mean, that's what it looks like. You know, I don't know how you act suspiciously in that situation. You creep around the bank so as not to startle fish and all as well. I don't know what's going on there, but hopefully for the family's sake, a resolution is reached very, very soon. Right, okay, I'm going to remind you one more time of these numbers because there's a lot in there that you might want to comment on and we want your views. 086 60 25,000, your WhatsApps and text, 086 60 25,000, or call Caroline on 07491 25,000. Feel free to drop us a message on Facebook or YouTube as well because they're all in front of me right now. Okay, I'll be back with you after a quick break.
Mr. Blue Sky, please tell us why. The Lotto jackpot is an estimated €4.5 million. Play responsibly in-store, in-app or at lottery.ie. The National Lottery. It could be you.
Hear that? That's the sound of you saving. When you drive an electric vehicle, you're helping save our beautiful planet. And you're saving yourself not having to pay ever-increasing fuel prices. Find out more about what you could save at fasterevcharge.com. Save today and tomorrow. This project has been supported by the European Union's Interreg 5A programme.
Ladies, get in shape this year at Fitness Express, Canal Road, Letterkenny, with their personalised fitness and weight loss programmes. Fitness Express, Letterkenny, 9109000.
Okay, you're very welcome back to the programme. On to it, we welcome Kathy now. Hi, Kathy, good morning to you.
Good morning, Greg.
And thanks very much for joining us, by the way, because I think you're doing a very important thing here in helping other parents and guardians and grandparents and carers to keep an eye out on these things. But unfortunately, it's off the back of an experience that your granddaughter had. Can you tell us what happened, Kathy?
Okay. Well, I didn't know until I got a picture from my son as to what had actually happened. My granddaughter, she's only 13, and she got involved in a challenge that's on TikTok, and she got very severely badly burned. Now, I knew nothing about the challenge, and a lot of people that I've spoke to since knew nothing about this particular challenge. But the repercussions for her have been quite serious. So she's been looked after at the moment. I suppose she's attending the hospital every second day to get the wound changed, the bandage changed on the wound.
Now, I'm looking at a little hand here, and it seems it's burnt, is it?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, she was badly burnt. Now it's just, so her hand is all blisters. You know, now the skin's not broke.
Yes.
So, and I don't know what will happen when the blisters actually burst. You know, so she may not have any long-term effects from it, though she'd be in pain at the moment. You know.
So, is it? We don't want to sort of encourage anyone to do it, but do you know what the challenge entailed? Can we explain that so people can keep an eye out for it?
Oh, absolutely. I knew nothing about it till I went in and looked on TikTok myself.
Yeah.
Actually, it's very, very simple. Okay. People are encouraged to spray sanitizer on their hand and set light to it.
Oh, no. Right. Okay.
Yeah.
And the problem is the sanitar and a match or a lighter or the hob in every house as well, right? So this is problematic for sure, yeah.
Yeah. So now on the TikTok challenge, you know, they only spray a little bit on the palm of their hand, and it goes on at light, and then it goes out immediately. But something went wrong for my granddaughter, that the fire didn't go out. Basically.
And the problem is I think there's different sanitizers. There's some with higher alcohol levels, some with lower alcohol levels, others that are more sticky and rub in and sort of leave a moisturization on your hands, others that almost dry instantly, and you know, it's going to be they're going to have a different reaction dependent on which product you use, I'm sure.
Absolutely, yeah. And you know, because I was asking her what went wrong, and she doesn't actually know what went wrong, except that she got quite badly burnt. You know, so, and I said anybody I've spoke to was not aware of this particular challenge, and now her parents didn't want me to actually speak out, but I thought this is too serious. I thought, you know, it's too, the repercussions is too great. Now, my little one, she's long hair. Her hair could have gone on fire. The house could have gone on fire. You know. So it could have been much, much worse than it actually is.
Yeah, for sure. And I think and I can understand. Kathy, why people might be reluctant to speak out, but you're doing a great thing, and I'll tell you why. Because people will be able to be to speak to the young people and say, by the way, I've heard about this video on TikTok or wherever. Make sure that you don't do it. And I think you're doing a great bit of service today.
Yeah. Well, can I tell you about my ignorance on that, Greg? I had 3 of my granddaughters with me at the weekend, and they were flicking lighters, and I never paid any heed because, you know, there's a lighter there. It's normal enough to flick it, but they were actually playing with this whole idea up with me, you know, and I got such a shock afterwards. I said, because that was an ignorance on my behalf that, you know, I didn't ask them what they were doing, or, you know, it never occurred to me that they would be doing anything other than flick a lighter, you know. Yeah. So, and there's a part of me that was so glad it didn't happen while they were with me.
I get that. Yeah. Because I remember too, right back at the start when everyone started using hand sanitizer, there were, I don't think it happened very often, but there were stories going around of people, say, in church lighting candles in their hands. You know, they had sanitizer on their hands. Now, I don't know if that ever really happened, but I would say it was probably born from those type of stories. But this is the latest challenge, and I think we all have to keep an eye out here now because I remember there was that other challenge. I don't know if you remember it, but it spread differently. I won't describe how it is in case it happens, but it involved one child pushing on another till they passed out, right? And it used to come in cycles. Yes. I don't know if you remember that. Yeah. And it used to spread around in schools, but you could probably see it was going on. You maybe heard the whispers and what have you. Us adults don't really know how these challenges are spreading on the likes of TikTok, and that's why it's important. I think we're aware. There was other challenges where you were challenged, Kathy, to go missing, to see how long you could go missing. And there was a whole spate of teenagers going missing and then turning up and causing great stress and anxiety. So this is another one of those, Kathy. And fingers crossed, your wee granddaughter's hand now fully recovers. But an awful shock for everyone. An awful shock for everyone.
Absolutely. And again, it's just I think for me, it's just that ignorance that I have of not being aware, but it's switched me on in a different way than I've ever been switched on, because I've heard so many negative things about TikTok, but could never, I suppose stuff that I look at a TikTok would be very, very different, and I never ever was aware of this element of it.
This is the thing about TikTok, and this is the amazing thing about it, but also the problem with it, in that very, very quickly, if you're on it, it will tailor the feed to what you like. And if you sort of get bored of something, it recognises that and will start giving you different things. So for me, it might be clips about stand-up comedy or cars or electric cars or stuff I'm interested in. But for my son, it could be completely different. It could be Andrew Tate. It could be these challenges, and it's all directed to them, completely different. So I'd be, and you are, Kathy, completely unaware of what they're viewing. We're not all looking at the same stuff.
Absolutely, yeah. And I see them now as being very, very vulnerable, to these challenges and peer pressure as well, that they would actually, egg each other on. Now, I mean, we did things when we were young, but nothing like what the young are doing today.
Yeah, but what when you sort of, if I asked you when you were 10, Kathy, what do you want to be, right? You would probably say a nurse or a nun even, or a scientist. No, but you know what I mean. You would, but now you ask a lot of young people what they want to do. They want to be YouTube famous. They want to be a YouTuber. They want to be TikTok famous. How many views they get in a video means way more to them. I can't really, there's no analogy I can put across from when I was 10, but it means everything. It's like celebrity to them, and they will do, they might go against their better judgment to try and achieve that, and that's where they can be exploited by these types of trends, and that's what's worrying, Kathy, and that's why we have to stay on the ball, I suppose.
Absolutely, and so for me it's about alerting other parents and grandparents just to the type of challenges, or if they do see their young person flicking a lighter or with a match, to think differently than, because that was me, they're just flicking a lighter, and never thought anything more about it, Exactly. So, and it is the vulnerability of our youth, and I suppose, we just need to switch on a little bit more to what they're actually doing.
Hey, Kathy, you described it as a vulnerability of the youth. It's kind of a vulnerability of us older people as well, because you can kind of feel kind of helpless.
Absolutely, yeah. Right. Absolutely. Shock is what I was left with for, I would say, 2 days. This happened on Sunday evening. So I was left with shock. And I'm speaking to the little one, I'm sort of more at ease. And just again, it's like not giving out. It's like accepting that vulnerability and the fact that she was just experimenting,
Yeah.
Okay. But it's and you can't warn people, until you see something, that's why I put up the picture on my Facebook page, because if I just said to people, it's just a burn, but, when you actually see the damage.
It's significant, and there's a lot of blisters there on her wee hand as well, but look, she'll bounce back really, really quickly from that, don't you know, because she's so young and
hopefully,
okay.
Indeed.
Listen,
so I was in touch with a burn healer as well, which is good, so that will help with the pain.
Right, All right, then listen, Kathy, obviously a very caring grandmother, so fair play, and well done, because you're going to alert other people to the same danger. So you did a good job today. Thank you.
Greg, thank you very much
indeed. Thanks very much. Okay. A caller says it must be one of the older bottles of sanitizer, because I believe they've took the alcohol out of it now. I'm not really sure, but I think a lot of us, have quite a few bottles of the old sanitizer lying around anyway. Apparently they took the alcohol out of it because people were drinking it. I don't know. Never heard tell of that either. But again, I'm starting to think I'm incredibly naive altogether. Councillor Michael McClafferty was on to say fair play to Cathy for speaking out. Hopefully it'll save a child and nip this behaviour in the bud. Also, having the bottles in your car all day, especially in the heat, he says is very dangerous. Okay. Right, let us go to a couple of your comments here. I haven't heard tell of this one. Apparently, a caller wants to know, when did it come in that a speed van could do you for no tax? Really? This is quite worrying. Is that such a thing? Right, speed vans, apparently, according to this listener, and it must be through their experience, was done for no tax. Buy a camera in the speed van? Is that the truth? I'm not saying it's not the truth, but you know what I mean. It's hard to believe. 086 60 25,000. WhatsApps and text to that number, or give us a call on 074 91 25,000.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Do you need to switch your current account or loan? We are now offering MyCU current account and debit MasterCard, bringing full banking features and competitive rate switcher loans.
Connect Hearing is open for free hearing tests. Our audiologist is available Monday to Friday for wax removal services at our Letterkenny Clinic in the Courtyard Shopping Centre. We also offer a home visit for those who are unable to visit us. Our hearing is our social sense. Are you finding hearing more of a challenge? Call Ursula today on 07491 13296 to make an appointment. Good hearing helps us to connect to our family, friends and loved ones. Connect Hearing, connecting you to life.
Guess what? What? Larkins of New Mills are offering an early bird special for only $6.95 Monday to Friday from 12 p.m. to 4 p.m. A full menu is available 7 days per week along with daily lunch specials. Call in any time to Larkins of New Mills or phone 074 91 266 97 and let our family look after yours.
And O'Neill with the offload to McCarthy. McCarthy now with a kick to win the club championship. Now.
Super TV! Sick of missing out on the exciting bits? With National Broadband Ireland's high-speed fibre broadband network being delivered to over 560,000 premises around the country, everyone can enjoy the biggest sporting events, films and TV with no glitches and no freezing.
What a day for the parish!
Never miss another kick. Find out more at nbi.ie. NBI, building a limitless Ireland, supported by the Government of Ireland.
Okay, you're very welcome back to the 9 till noon show. We're joined in studio now by Councillor Park McGarvey. How does that sound, Park?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Can you pull forward just for me a little bit there? Good man. So you took over on Monday. How big a day was Monday for you? Right. Sorry, 1 second. Everything. Try that.
No, well.
Yep, we're good.
Big day, Greg.
Every button's been pressed on this part. We're actually finally now back to normal. Okay, so big day, yeah.
Big day. Great day on Monday. Everything went well. A very proud day for me and my family. And Ian as well, to be able to hand over the seat to me.
How long has this sort of potentially been in the offing? Like, when was it first discussed? I mean, I'm not asking for private info, but do you know how long have you been considering whether or not this might be for you?
Well, there was never no pressure on me, Greg. Ian came to me about 2 years ago when he said would I been interested in it, and I said I would. I'll definitely think about it, and thought about it. And when the time came, he came to me, and I decided, it was the right time. I'm 34 years of age, and I see the problems that face people on a daily basis, and I'd just like to hit the ground and see how I get on.
Because some would say it's a thankless enough task, in that you become a lightning rod for, people's complaints and what have you. And then you also have to balance the role with family life and your working life. So it's something that I have to give good consideration to, I think.
Yeah, definitely. But it's something that I've thought about, and I think it's going to fit in well, and I'm dealing with people on a daily basis and meeting people in the area I'm in, and thankfully I think it's going to work out well.
Now, you'll serve obviously in the Letterkenny Milford Municipal District. I think we're all probably aware of the problems in terms of housing and health and roads and infrastructure and investment, and are you across all of those issues? Is there things that are particularly important to you?
Yeah, well, definitely. Everything that you've mentioned there is things that day-to-day problems. There's problems with, and every day there's a different problem. So things like the housing, and I know there's a very shortage of housing at the minute, but hopefully in the time to come that this will be sorted out. So
now, listen, sorry to get into straight into a tough question, Parg, but that's kind of my job here. It's not long now until the next election, right? So you've got you're well known, I'm sure, by a lot of people, but there's a bit of work to be done there. I presume you're going to stand for election in the next election, of course. Is that as an independent, or are you leaving your options open in terms of maybe joining a political party? Maybe you yourself feel that you're aligned to a particular party, or that you could get more done as part of a political party?
No, definitely not. I think I'm going to stick as an independent and be able to stand on my own 2 feet and speak for myself and support the people as an independent going forward.
One of the biggest issues, of course, we've kind of mentioned it here, is the issue of defective concrete. This is something that you know all about.
Yeah, definitely. I'm affected myself. My own house has it, and I see the frustration that the people has. I see the frustration that people has.
That they're going
through, and
endure,
exactly, and it's first hand, and the Make Action Group and all them people, we probably wouldn't be at the stage we are without their support, and my support is with them as well, 100%.
And it needs a lot of work. I mean, even the complexities of it, I don't know how any normal person, in inverted commas, is supposed to navigate it. You know what I mean? We can talk about the headlines in terms of people there being a shortfall and delays and all that type of stuff, but even just the technical nature of it, it's not really customer friendly. It's almost as if it's designed to be hard to navigate.
It's definitely dragged out. It's dragging its heels, and I think everybody's just at the end of their tellers, and I think a bit of communication to the people wouldn't go amiss, and a bit more support for people going forward.
Obviously, you're stepping into the shoes. Well, you're your own man, by the way. But it's just the way we speak. But you are replacing, a legend of politics. And someone who's got very strong views on, quite a number of things. Are you similar in character, or are you just have your own way of going on?
No, well, definitely, I would be, and similar to Ian. The problems that he faced and the things that he fought for would be things that I would be keen to support, and Ian's a legend, as you said. He's had the hard work this past 18 years, and the commitment he gave to the people was none other than the best, and I hope to continue that commitment to the people.
Because you would have an insight in speaking to him, a lot of the work that's expected of a councillor that goes on. Do you know what I mean? Your phone really needs to be on all the time. If you don't answer a call, or you decide I'm having this weekend off, but people need you very quickly, and especially with social media now, you're like, well, that Parg guy doesn't answer his phone. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's tough, isn't it? It's a tough undertaking, and I don't think we, in the general population, might be fully aware of that, the demands on you, the calls that you're receiving all the time, and sometimes you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't.
Yeah, well, that's true, but my phone's always on, and I'm there for the help if people needs it, and every day is a school day, and the people's problems will be my learning, and the next person comes, I hope to be able to help them out.
All right, good stuff. You haven't attended a full council meeting yet. There was a special meeting,
special meeting on Monday, and the MD meeting on Tuesday, just yesterday.
So how did you find the MD meeting?
Good. I sat in unofficial in the public gallery and a couple of previous meetings, and I think the knowledge that you learn at them is something else as well. It's something that you're carrying with you, and hopefully at each meeting that I can learn, and
I'm sure it's a lot. As you say, every day's a learning day. Will you be tapping into Ian's expertise, or are you just going to plough this furrow alone?
No, well, Ian's expertise will be greatly
to be offered, whether you want it
offered, and it's greatly appreciated, because I'm lucky to have him around. And the knowledge he has is something else.
I'd like to congratulate Parg on becoming councillor. A very proud day for his family and friends. Huge congratulations from Colm Sandy, London. I wish all the best in the new role, and best of luck, Martin McGinley and Jenny in Carragart. Congratulations, Parg. Good luck for your future as a councillor. Tricia Deeney in Salt Pans, Rathmullen. So good to hear a young man taking up the challenge for his county. The best of luck in a very thankless job. All at Kilmacrennan Men's Shed would like to wish Park all the best going forward and look forward to welcome him to visit us here at the Men's Shed. So some nice messages coming in for you. Right. Enjoy them while they last.
The support I've got, Greg, over the past couple of days has been remarkable, and I'd just like to thank everybody for my fellow councillors as well that said lovely words in the chamber, and all the messages received, cards, and thanks very much. It's greatly appreciated.
Is it too soon to ask you where you think this might all go for you? Like, do you have real strong political ambitions, even maybe beyond the council, or is it a case of just getting in there, seeing what you can get done, or what's the story?
Well, I'd just like to hit the ground running now and learn as much as I can for the next 15 months. I suppose it's something that it's new to me. It's a new, but I can't say that the future is going to be a TD or anything like that. I just like to support my local people, and that's something I'd like to do going forward.
Stuff. Well, listen, as I say, I respect all the councillors because it's not a job I personally would, I think it's a tough job, but I presume it's very rewarding as well at the same time. But listen, we wish you the best of luck in the next 15 months, and then we'll chat to you, of course, over that period of time, and then as we head into the local elections the end of next year, I think, isn't it?
Yeah, May.
All right, listen, thanks very much,
Greg,
Park. The best of luck to you.
Good man.
All right,
Thank
okay.
you.
And as I say, you've big old shoes to fill in former Councillor Ian McGarvey's.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, offering low-rate car loans with fast approval. Apply online at letterkennycu.ie or in office today.
For over 20 years, CarZone has been the trusted name in Ireland's motoring marketplace, bringing 1 million car buyers and sellers together every month. And now, buying or selling a car has never been easier on CarZone with expert tools and advice. Download the CarZone app or check out carzone.ie. CarZone, Ireland's trusted motoring marketplace.
I've lost my car keys. Lost my car once in a multi-story. Lost my patience. My hair? Lost that a while back. But this week, I found things I thought had gone forever. The crackle of needle on vinyl. Leaves crunching. I found them all at Specsavers. I got free hearing aids with PRSI. And now those sounds are back. So's my joie de vivre. Still can't find those keys, though.
Book a free hearing test today. Terms and conditions apply. See our website for details.
I've just had the Eclipse Cinemas experience. Wow, they truly have taken a night at the movies to a whole new level. Amazing recliner chairs, director's lounge VIP rooms, pizza and hot food served to your seat. Have a glass of wine and enjoy the film on the big screen. Try it for yourself at Eclipse Cinemas Bundoran and Lifford Strabane, where the stars shine brighter. By the way, the pizzas are amazing. You can book your seat anytime at eclipsecinemas.ie.
Highland Radio weather updates with Ireland West Airport. Fancy a European city break this summer? Discover the beautiful cities of Barcelona, Cologne and Milan with Ryanair. 6 flights a week for summer 2023. Ireland West Airport. Don't just take off, take it easy.
Mostly dry weather and spells of hazy sunshine developing for a time this morning. However, during the afternoon, a spell of rain will begin to edge into Atlantic counties, extending nationwide later this evening. Highest temperatures of 9 to 11 degrees in moderate to fresh southwest winds. I think a bit of drier weather, though, is on the way. Right, okay, best of luck to Parg. A few people already messaging in. Will you be attending the protest, the Micah protest on the 21st as a councillor? He is indeed. Okay, Councillor Donald Mandy Kelly is the Mayor of the Letterkenny Milford Municipal District. He joins us on the programme now. Good morning to you, Donald.
Good morning, Greg, and good morning to all your listeners there.
Good to have you on. Right, you're disappointed. I mean, there was a big roads announcement announced, a project funding announcement yesterday. You're disappointed at some elements that are absent in your view.
Yeah, Greg, and just before I get into that, Greg, if you don't mind, there, just listening to your interview with the newly elected councillor, Councillor McGarvey there, and I just want to wish him all the best. Great interview there you done with him, and listen, I know Porrick and I know his connections well, and he's my full support, and he can be assured of that going forward. It is first, I suppose, as he said himself, it is first school day yesterday at the MD, and maybe a bit of an eye opener too. But
baptism of fire, a baptism of fire, perhaps.
A bit of baptism of fire, but sure, it's been good to experience that in your first day as well.
For sure.
I can say on my own first day, I experienced the same, so it was it was great to get an insight. But listen, Greg, back to what you asked me there. Yeah, listen, Greg, I suppose yesterday I want to welcome the announcement of funding that was allocated throughout the MD. That was a substantial amount of funding for roads and bridges. And I suppose before I do start to get into it, Greg, I want to welcome that 25,000 has been allocated to Mineroy Bridge to get the ball rolling. This bridge, as you know, I have been lobbying about for the last, I suppose, probably 20 months, trying to get the safety concerns of the general public addressed and the concerns I had myself. And listen, with that said, Greg, although it's a step in the right direction, it's not the commitment I was given, and I suppose that's what I'm frustrated about, you know.
When you say that, are you disappointed in the council, in that maybe the council pitched too low, rather than sort of disappointed in the department that allocated this money?
Yeah, well, Greg, I'll be quite honest, I'm disappointed in the council, yes. You know, I was told last year that this bridge would get funded after lobbying hard to have it funded. And when the allocation was announced, I went through the list, and Mineroy wasn't mentioned in it. So I then pushed and lobbied and got the bridge prioritised number one on the priority list for 2022 and onto this year. And I was given a commitment that an application would be put forward for the full amount of funding ahead of the specific grants allocations, which was announced yesterday, to address the safety concerns, have the bridge widened and have it newly constructed. Because, to be quite honest, the bridge is in dire state. And, you know, I was made aware then, Greg, I suppose, on the final hour, if you like, that the application that was put forward, that our own, I'm not going to start naming departments, but I'll just say that our own council didn't put the allocation through for the full amount of funding that was supposed to be requested. And then to just find out then, yesterday morning when I went through the allocations, that all was funded to Mineroy was 25,000. And as I say, Greg, as much as the 25,000 is welcomed, it's not going to address the issues and the concerns of the electorate out there and the people that use this road daily. And that's something that it's not sitting well with me, you know.
Yeah. What went wrong then?
Well, Greg, I suppose to go back to the start, when I first brought this issue up, as you know, I had Minister McConlogue out at the bridge. I had our road supervisor, our roads executive, and more recently, I had our director of roads out looking at it. And we're all of the same opinion that this needs to be addressed. But I was led to believe at the time that a design was done up for this bridge, and it was a matter of securing the funding for it. So, as I say, no funding came last year. So, with it prioritised number one this year, I asked that all the ducks were in a row at our January meeting, that all I's was dotted and T's was crossed, and that an application was put forward for the full funding to have this bridge reconstructed and widened. And the response I got, that was more or less that the council was happy with the application put forward and that they secure the funding. But then when I dug deeper into this, I led to believe then that the design, there was a design in place. Then I was told there wasn't a design in place. But then when I dug deeper, I was told that there actually was a design in place. But when the inspector came down from the Department of Transport, that he had requested that the design in place wasn't adequate or wasn't good enough. And now, if that is the case, Craig, that's well and good. But I was kept in the dark about this, and I wasn't made aware of this and until I dug deeper into this, which is certainly not good enough for me. And that's the reason that I have requested now as well to see the inspector's report, because I want to see firsthand what he put down. Because, to be quite honest, Greg, I can't see how this bridge, how an inspector would pass this bridge as being safe, because, you know, the side of the bridge, there's big cracks in it. There's
It looks like it kind of looks like it's about to give way on one side, if the truth be told, to the point where they've stuck cones and barriers in there. Now, I'm looking at an older picture here. Whether or not that's changed since, I don't know. A lot of traffic, different types of traffic, heavy goods traffic on this bridge as well. What is it? Do you fear it's going to collapse? What is your principal concern with it?
Well, Greg, I do fear that, because I got a traffic counter set up on this bridge last year. And the volume of heavy traffic that's using this road, it's unbelievable. And, you know, the bridge itself, that's where, I feel like it's an old type bridge that's been there for, I don't know how many years, long before my time. But it's a concrete slab bridge on the top with the traffic, what's carrying the traffic, Greg. And the steel is actually exposed underneath, and you can see it rusted. And, you know, that's just my fear. And, I mean, my fear truly is that if this bridge collapses, and that's why I've been lobbying so hard to have the fund secured for this and have it addressed, because I hope it doesn't come to that, because at the end of the day, Greg, this was the main artery, and into the R250 into Funtown, Dunlow, Duherty, Glenties, Ardra, and I mean, if this bridge were to collapse, there's only two routes around to get into by Letterkenny or heading for Derry or Omagh or Dublin, that direction, you know, because you'll have to go, number one, is over Lawbarra, which definitely is not capable of taking lorries because it's a narrow road. Another alternative is heading around by your own country there, Donegal Town and Kelly Beggs, Donegal Town and back into Letterkenny. And that's something I don't want to see happening.
Yeah, okay.
And that's why I've asked for a detailed report to be carried out in this. I've asked for another safety assessment to be carried out in this bridge as well, and for to come back and be put in front of myself and elected members, because I'm eager to have a safety report carried out to see what comes back, Greg.
And what is kind of frustrating is 75,000 was applied for by the council, 25,000 were given. I think you wanted that to be more in the region of 400,000, and perhaps a third of that would have been given, which would have been a significant improvement. Okay, well, we'll watch with interest to see where that goes, Councillor Kelly. It is disappointing. There was a lot of good stuff in that, which you've recognised as well, but... Right, okay.
There's a lot of good stuff going on there, and I mean, like, there's Funtown, for instance, there, and active travel got 415,000, and again there too, and this recent announcement has 115,000 allocated, you know, and that's a very welcomed announcement on the Funtown, and it's great to see it. But at the end of the day, Greg, this is a main artery into Funtown.
Yep, no,
and if this bridge collapses, you know, what's the point in spending over $500,000 plus on Funtown when we only can secure 25,000 the main bridge to get into it? You know, and that's the frustrating part. So, like, I know after lobbying about this again since the announcement came out, that an engineer is set to be back in Funtown this morning at the bridge by a meeting with our roads executive to knuckle down to see what this is. But, Greg, my role as an elected member is to represent the people to the best of my ability, and that is taking their concerns to the table, and that is something I have done the last 20 months in this bridge.
Yeah.
And I believe that it's the role of Donegal County Council to act on what I bring to the table, and in this instance, I don't think that's the case, and that's what I'm frustrated about, and I am not going to sit back, Greg, and let this continue much longer, because if this bridge collapses, as I say, it's going to cause mayhem.
Okay.
And the people I like, Greg, I'm going to keep pushing on this to secure more funding for this project, because I do believe it is an emergency.
Councillor Kelly, just the same question being put to you as others. Are you attending the protest, or if it's a protest or demonstration or meeting down in Dublin on the 21st, isn't it?
Unfortunately, Greg, as you know, I'm the mayor of Letterkenny Milford Municipal District, and my schedule is very heavy at the moment and very strongly booked up. I've actually 3 engagements on that date as well, Greg, so I'm not going to be fit to attend, but I wish all well that is going up the road.
And one other question too, on the 4 lanes, I don't want to throw this one on you, but how many traffic crossings will be across the Dry Arch and Polestar Road when everyone thought the central barrier was from one end to another? Do you know how many crossings there are from between the 2 roundabouts, pedestrian crossings?
Greg, you've got me there, but
no, I don't. Yeah.
Yeah, as far as I mind, it's 3.
Yeah.
But now, I can't be 100% sure on that.
Yeah, but
listen,
look,
Greg,
we can check into that.
Yeah, and on the 14, listen, a recent update there from an email back a couple of weeks ago, they are finally hitting their targets, and listen, let's hope it's continued to do so. It is well underway there at the moment, and I know I was very critical of the 4 lane there, of the work, because it was too slow. There's no doubt, I'm not going to go back to my word, it was too slow. But after we did apply pressure on it, listen, the contractors there have upped their game, and they have updated to say that they're confident that they're meeting the time frame now. So listen, that's positive, and I hope that they do meet it going forward. But it's something I will keep an eye on.
Yeah, my information is a little different, but you are the person in contact with them, so we'll leave it at that. Councillor Donald Mandichetty, thank you.
Thanks, Greg.
Take care of yourself. All right, thanks very much indeed. All right. Thanks. Caller says, thanks to Councillor Kelly for pushing the bridge issue in Meaning-Roy along with the obvious structural issues. This bridge is too narrow and is another accident waiting to happen as traffic on either side don't know who should yield to, especially if meeting a larger vehicle. Well, I always go down the line of the man with the road holds the load, if you know what I mean. Or the man with the load holds the road, or the man or woman with the load holds the road. I wouldn't be taking them on that bridge, but I do understand what you're saying. It should be made clear, or more clear perhaps, for those who may not be fully aware. Was wondering, do many listeners use 3 phone lines, and what's their views? My air bill is so expensive, I want to change to use 3 phone lines. Your phone bill shouldn't be expensive. There's lots of competition out there in the market, by the way, and you can, I don't know what you're paying currently, but if it's anything over €35, you're being fleeced, because there are much cheaper options in and around the €35-40. It's ironic that Minister Ryan's flying to Singapore. I wonder what his carbon footprint will be. The problem with these junkets is that these people never submit any report on what benefit the trip achieved. It's too easy to say we met with some big business leaders with a view to achieving investment in Ireland. Just like school, there should be a media analysis of the benefits of these trips. Well, listen, there was heavy scrutiny, rightly so, of, say, for instance, the Donegal County Council's trips abroad. Now, in fairness to them, they changed the policies in recent years where a full report is made available of who met, who, where, and for why. So certainly at a local level, you can get that information now, and it seems far fewer people travel from local authorities now than did in the past. I'm not sure if that comes from that minister's office or any other minister's office, but we'll certainly have a look at it when the time comes. Right, stay where you are. A quick break for the news and obituary notices.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union. Digital loans now available. Apply online or via our app today and get your loan transferred directly to your current account. Donegal Denture Clinic, Letterkenny. Denture problems? We can help. At Donegal Denture Clinic, we customise, personalise and tailor your dentures to suit you. Call us for a free consultation on 91 25 25 3. Find us at Ballyrain, Letterkenny, beside Rossin College. Medical cards welcome. For all your denture needs, call Donegal Denture Clinic on 91 25 25 3. Online at donegaldentureclinic.ie.
At Shannon Airport, we know what makes a dream holiday. It's not just the huge choice of destinations like Chicago, Paris, Newcastle, Naples, Barcelona and Porto. It's the unique features that make getting through our airport a dream. Like affordable, easy access parking just steps away from your departure gate. So whatever dream holiday you're packing for, head for shannonairport.ie. With more destinations than ever and a hassle-free airport experience, we'll get your holiday off to a dream start. Shannon Airport, making it easy.
There's a gaggle of monsters you'll see around town, in every colour from bright pink to brown. And just like us, they have hopes, dreams and wishes. A new car, new windows, a holiday diving with fishes. They know just where to go for their dreams to come true. The local credit union who can help you out too. For all of your dreams that are big, small or strange, we've got you covered with our Monster Loan range. Monster Loans from the Credit Union. Imagine more. Loans are subject to approval. Terms and conditions apply. If you do not meet the repayments on your loan, your account will go into arrears. This may affect your credit rating, which may limit your ability to access credit in the future. Credit unions in the Republic of Ireland are regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
We at Highland Radio love Irish music, and we want to show our support. Throughout Irish Music Month this March, in partnership with Hot Press Magazine, we're asking you to support the Irish musicians, artists and bands who make every party, every drive home and every day magic. That's right. To celebrate Irish Music Month on Highland Radio, we're asking you to support Irish artists and musicians by buying Irish albums, Irish tickets, Irish t-shirts and Irish music merch. Irish musicians have shown that they are right up there with the best in the world, so let's support them by buying Irish. Proudly supported by Highland Radio, Hot Press, IBI and the BAI Sound and Vision Fund.
Live, on air, online and on the Highland Radio app. This is Highland Radio News.
Good morning, it's Donna Marie Doherty with the news at 10 o'clock. The motion... Good morning, it's Donna Marie Doherty bringing you the 10 o'clock news. A Donegal grandmother is appealing to young people to be wary of TikTok challenges after her granddaughter's hand was left severely burned. After attempting the hand sanitizer challenge, Kathy O'Connor's 13-year-old granddaughter needs to go to hospital every second day in order to get her third-degree burns dressed on her hand. Kathy says she's trying to raise awareness among parents and young people about the potential dangers these challenges can have.
My granddaughter, she's only 13, and she got involved in a challenge that's on TikTok, and she got very severely badly burned. Now, I knew nothing about the challenge, and a lot of people that I've spoke to since knew nothing about this particular challenge. People are encouraged to spray sanitizer on their hand and set light to it. But something went wrong for my granddaughter, that the fire didn't go out.
The Mayor of Letterkenny Milford Municipal District says he's highly disappointed at the lack of adequate funding for the Minaroy Bridge in this week's regional roads allocation. Councillor Donal Mandy Kelly says he was surprised to hear the council had applied for €75,000 when he believes €400,000 should have been applied for. He says surprise turned to anger when the bridge was just allocated €25,000. Councillor Kelly says he was told there was no design in place, but was then told there may have been a design that was subsequently not accepted by an inspector. He told members and officials that he wants to see the inspector's report and is calling for immediate safety review of the bridge.
I fear for the people that's using this road daily that this bridge is not safe, and that's why I've asked now for a safety audit to be carried out on this bridge and to be presented in front of myself and the members. And listen, if the safety audit comes back and determines that the bridge is stable and it's adequate, well, we'll have to look at it again and see how we seek funding. But I do firmly believe that safety audit and assessment will come back that this bridge needs work as a matter of urgency.
The Social Protection Minister, Heather Humphreys, says Deputy Pearse Doherty's Dáil motion on a spring bonus and cost of living supports was nothing more than a political stunt. It was tabled by Sinn Féin's finance spokesperson amid claims the coalition is out of touch and has failed to tackle the crisis. Minister Humphreys says no political party or person has a monopoly on compassion. She told the Dáil government recognises the real challenges people are facing and has acted.
To listen to the deputies opposite, you'd swear that we hadn't done a tap, and that we've sat on our hands for the last 2 years and done nothing to help. The reality is, since this government was formed, it has more than any government in the history of the state put in place billions of euro in measures to protect and support our people.
However, Deputy Doherty told the Dáil that every analysis published in recent weeks and months shows that the situation is now more bleak than it ever has been, and those in lower incomes are disproportionately affected.
Those in lower incomes, they spend a greater proportion of their income on essentials such as energy and on food, and those essentials have seen the steepest rise in costs over the past year and more, and they're pushing households to the brink, Minister. Workers and families have stretched and they've managed their income to the last cent, but there comes a point for every single family where there's nothing left to cut, and that's what we're seeing today in many families right across the state, an increase in hardship, in financial difficulties and in poverty.
And now for weather, mostly dry with spells of hazy sunshine developing for a time this morning. However, during the afternoon, a spell of rain will begin to edge into the region with highest temperatures of 9 to 11 degrees in moderate fresh southwest winds. That's all for now. Back again with more headlines at 11 o'clock.
There you are. The original notices for this Wednesday morning, the 15th of February. The death has occurred of Mary Doherty, Nae McGinty, Carrick McGrath, Ballabufay. Remains reposing at her residence. Funeral from there tomorrow morning at 10:30 for Requiem Mass in St Mary's Church, Sesha O'Neill at 11 o'clock, followed by interment in the adjoining churchyard. The Requiem Mass will be streamed live via the parish YouTube channel. Donations in lieu of flowers, if desired, to the Donegal Hospice directly or care of any family member. And the death has occurred of Frederick David Russell, Cavan Upper, Killygordon. Funeral leaving his late residence this afternoon at 1:15 for a service of thanksgiving in Stranraer Presbyterian Church at 2 o'clock, with burial afterwards in the Church of Ireland churchyard, Stranraer. Family flowers only, please. Donations in lieu, if desired, to the Donegal Downs Syndrome Association directly or care of any family member. The house is private to family and close friends only, please, at the request of the deceased. For more details, including any family health guidelines for wakes and funerals, please go to highlandradio.com.
Now, you're very welcome back to the programme, and apologies just for some slight technical difficulties there. We've overcome all now, so I hope you do understand, but when a computer goes kaput, there's not an awful lot you can do, but we do appreciate your patience and we do apologise. Okay, let us see, we have loads coming up over the next couple of hours. Please stay with us. 086 60 25,000, your WhatsApps and texts to that number, or give us a call in 07491 25,000. The caller says, I'm a sheep farmer. Our sheep are €2 a kilo less than lamb in France. We get 6.60, they get 8.80. The French government look after their farmers more than our government. Our market is now being flooded with New Zealand lamb. And surprise, surprise, where's our Minister for Agriculture going? Charlie McConalogue off to New Zealand for St Patrick's Day. He's off to bring more ruin to Irish farmers, not to mention the environmental impact this has. I'm sure if he wanted to say it on the programme, he might argue something different. We were talking yesterday about the negative impact cannabis smoking is having on an awful lot of young people's lives here in Donegal. A caller says, I've been a heavy cannabis smoker for over 16 years and it turned me into something I wasn't. I had more anger issues than I turned nasty on family and friends. I pushed everyone that cared for me away. It was all fun and games at the start, but it's grown into a serious addiction. I hope you get you are seeking the help and getting the help that you need. Greg, is there anything more important for our councillors to be at rather than being at the mic of protest? Come on and show some support and solidarity with the people who need the support. Councillor Donald Mandy Kelly needs to prioritise his engagements as the defective concrete block crisis unfolds and causes more and more devastating consequences on a daily basis. The voice of Donegal needs to be represented by our local representatives to ensure equality with those living in Dublin. We all have our commitments and engagements, but must put our shoulder to the wheel to minimise the devastation and trauma caused by the biggest crisis of our time. What engagement is more important than that? To Councillor Kelly. Now, I don't know if he's going into schools or opening something or whatever it might be on those days. He says he's got 3 engagements, but he says he is offers his best wishes to all going up. For some, that's not going to be enough. For others, they might understand, but that's not for me to determine. That's up to you, the listener. Hi, Greg. What's the big iron things coming down on the left side of the carriageway? That's I don't think they meant to say that. The carriageway in Letterkenny. Can you explain what they are? It's shuttering, really. It's to stop the bank giving way into the river. It's a temporary solution. The long-term solution is similar, but obviously more refined and prettier to look at, is my understanding. But at the moment, they are shoring up that side of the road until such time as the permanent replacement goes in. What about the road that the council did, leaving Dunlow to Fintown? If you meet a lorry, you'd never get round it. It's a mess. Okay. Hi there. Just to make people aware, my daughter did that TikTok trend, but used perfume instead of sanitizer. Anything alcohol-based can work. Now, we're not giving people ideas here, and that's not the motivation of the texter. But apparently, they must be in these videos telling people to go and find anything with alcohol in it, which will include maybe alcohol itself, brandy or something as well. So don't just focus on sanitizer. The trend will encourage people to put anything alcohol-based on their hand and light it, so they could have the same negative impacts that we had from that we heard there from that listener a little later on, or a little earlier on. Okay, let us take a break. Good luck if you're playing the bingo numbers today. Hopefully, fingers crossed now, everything works well. Here we go.
There you are, at the counter in your local shop to pay for a coffee and a bun. A little midweek treat. And why not? Only to look up and see the display of scratch cards. And you think, why not treat yourself to an all-cash scratch card too? A win really would be the icing on the cake. With millions in cash prizes to be won instantly, the next time you're in store, ask for any all-cash scratch card. The National Lottery. It could be you. Play
It's time for NCBI Bingo on Highland Radio.
It's Wednesday, the 15th of February. You're playing on the blue sheet. The reference number is S13. It's game number 7. The numbers are 72, 29, 63, 68, 8, 57, 40, 37, 18, and finally 20. Phone your claim to 91048333 before 8 tonight, leaving your name, contact number and the name of the shop where you purchased your book, and we'll call you back the next working day. Get all your NCBI bingo information at highlandradio.com.
At Hickey, Clark and Langan Insurance Brokers, they compare quotes from all the leading insurers, so you get a great price. Home, motor and van, farm, holiday home, travel and liability insurance, they quote them all. So if the worst happens, you're covered. For a competitive insurance quote today, call Hickey, Clark and Langan on 9126688 or pop into their office at Ballymacool, Letterkenny. Hickey, Clark and Langan General Insurances Limited, trading as Hickey, Clark and Langan, is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
The Tyrconnell Blackfaced Sheep Breeders Association 11th Annual Female Show and Sale will take place this Friday 17th at Milford Mart. Please note the change of venue. The show is at 4 with the sale at 7:30pm. 37 in-lamb ewes and 16 dry-hogged ewes, Perth and Lanark type, with online bidding available on the LSL app. That's this Friday at Milford Mart.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union, now offering mortgages from €40,000 to €600,000 with no hidden fees or transaction charges. Letterkenny Credit Union, 9102127.
Okay, now a new farming group looks to form, but it claims without the influence of other farm organisations. Liam McLaughlin is a Donegal farmer. He joins us now. Liam, thanks very much for taking the call.
Hello, Greg. How's the farm?
Things are going good. Right, okay, why do we need another farming organisation? We do have quite a few.
Well, first off, Greg, it's not about another farming organisation. This is actually a meeting that's set up for farmers. And basically, it's a fact-finding mission from farmers, you know what I mean? And most farmers across the country, and the feedback we're getting, do not feel represented at the minute, neither by TDs or organisations or anything else, you know. We're basically seem to be hung out to dry at the moment. You see more forestation coming our way. They're looking for 80% more forestry and re-wetting, and maybe a reduction in the national suckler herd and things like that, there's a lot of bad things coming our way, and a lot of farmers had concerns. I run a group there called Ireland's Farm Discussion Group. There's over 10,000 on it at the moment. And the idea was just put to the group, and basically the messages started coming in, and the feedback and the phone calls. So we decided to run with this meeting, but we didn't agree to a group or anything else. So we're just going to see what comes out of this meeting, and it seems to be great feedback at the moment. We're getting calls from all over the country, as far as Cork, Wexford, everywhere else, in relation to it.
Now, I think IFA yesterday, exactly along the lines of what you were saying, were talking about the targets. They talked about an uprising, effectively, in rural Ireland. So they're taking a hard line on this. So they're the exact same issues that you identified. So is there a mistrust or a distrust with the IFA and their word with you and others then?
Listen, Greg, I'm not going to single out any groups or anything like that. We've got the problem in Ireland at the minute is we have too many groups, and we haven't enough support for any one of them to have any real impact, and we don't seem to have any groups working together. And we have a kind of a divide created at the moment among farmers, you know what I mean? So this idea now is basically no groups, bring the farmers into a room, everybody's a farmer, nobody's a member of this group, that group, that group, and we're hoping that farmers themselves can come together and come up with some new, fresh thinking, new ideas, you know what I mean? It's a new approach to it.
Yeah. But even though you don't call it an association, an organisation or a group, when you get a large amount of people into the same room and they come up with a series of bullet points, there comes a point in an organised way you have to progress that, or else you don't. I presume you don't want it to be a talking shop, Liam.
That is right.
So
well,
where does it go from
we're
here,
open to ideas, but I'll say one thing, Greg, and that is that if there is a suggestion of a group and we decide to put a group together, it'll be a military-run operation, and there will be no profiteering or anything like that out of it. There'll be no big salaries. I would, if I was to suggest anything, I would suggest a non-profit organisation for farmers.
Yeah.
And basically, there is possibilities. There's options. There's hundreds of options. Like you can go into the line of purchase groups. You can get savings on products. There's all sorts of possibilities, but basically, we're going to leave it to the farmers, and we're going to take whatever feedback we get from that room. And there's quite a group of us. Like, there's a lot of good people behind it, and a lot of friends that I have down around south and all around the country. And we will then decide whether we go south with another meeting or come up north here with a meeting. And that is basically the plan.
Yeah, I've heard concerns from farmers. I chat to them on a regular basis, and everyone has different views. But one thing I hear quite often is that there is a sense that maybe the smaller farmer is being sacrificed here, that there might be a consolidation, that whatever farming that continues in this country might be done by a small group and to hell with the rest. Is that part of a problem that you see? Do you see that as a potential issue down the line as we see this reform?
I think the small farmer is a kind of an easy target at the moment. But listen, there's things coming the small farmer's way. But if you're a large farmer, don't be thinking there's nothing coming your way, because there is. You know what I mean? Like they're not going to, when they're targeting a small, low input farmer, like, you know what I mean, and the small farmer is doing very little pollutant, and then you have the larger farms, and I have nothing against larger farms, you know what I mean. Now, when they're targeting the likes of the average farm across Ireland, they're definitely going to target the larger farms later on, and they're going to be more easily targeted whenever there's less of them.
Yeah, and what's interesting about
the larger farmer needs to remember that the smaller farmer is supplying the stock to them, like. You know, it's the small farmers around the country with 6, 8, 12 cows, things like that, are supplying the beef men with finishing stock. And basically, we're a kind of farmers is a kind of like we're a gear on a machine. You know what I mean? Like, we're supplying stock on up to the larger, farmers and the finishing units and things like that. Like, and one can't really work without the other.
Yeah, and it's an interesting premise going into this meeting, because very clearly, and it's been put very nicely as well too, but it's pretty direct. We respectfully ask no input from current farming organisations or groups. So this is people with no affiliation.
Like that there, and we have one organisation on there standing up preaching, or you know what I mean. Like there's going to be people against them, and it causes unrest in the room. You know what I mean. Like, and we want this to be a calm kind of a meeting. You know what I mean. Like, and just to keep a good atmosphere in the thing. And we believe this is the only way to do it. Like, and listen, if you're a member of other organisations, you're welcome to come, but don't come preaching their policies to us. Like, you know, because this is all about farmers and just farmers dealing with farmers, you know, to see if there is anything can be come up with.
Yeah, but I also get the impression from you, Liam, that you just don't want this to be a talking shop, that from it you want to come up with proposals, solutions, ideas, whatever way you've mentioned some of them, bulk buying or even maybe, you know, protests or targeted protests or what have you. I mean, I presume it's all on the table.
As I say, I'm basically going in myself into that room, and I have no plan.
Yeah,
but I
okay.
intend to come out. I intend to come out either with a plan or no plan, and you know, we'll go down there and we'll run the meeting as best we can. There's some very good people behind it, good speakers and everything else. And if this is a success, if it's a success, I'll come up the road happy enough, and we'll take the next step. And if it's not a success, I'll come up the road happy enough, and I'll say we have tried.
Yeah, but you won't be too interested in hearing people complaining then if they're members of other farming groups, if they seem happy enough all right with the way things are going. The meeting is in Athlone. It's in the Athlone Springs Hotel, Sunday the 19th of February at 2 p.m. All sectors are welcome. That's the message, is it? And there's a contact number here which I can read out if people want to find a pen and paper.
Yeah, that's my own contact number,
Right, okay.
And, as I say, I'm just the person put out in front because we have a Facebook group there and there's 10,000 on it, and it was a kind of suggested that it was the ideal platform to get it out there, you know what I mean?
Reaches all different types of people, of course. All right. Okay, well, listen, we look forward to hearing what comes from the meeting, I think, because I think there's going to be people that are motivated to travel to Athlone are going to have their opinions and they're going to have their concerns and they're going to have their plans of action. So it'll be an interesting one to chair anyway, whoever has that role as well. All right, Liam, safe journey down and we'll see what comes from it. Thanks for your time.
Listen, thanks very much, Greg.
All right, good luck to you. Liam McLaughlin there, who's the Donegal sheep farmer. And as I say, the few bulletin points here. A call for change is here. Farmers want their voices heard. We respectfully ask for no input from current farming organisations or groups. Let's stand together for change. Together we can make a change. The Facebook group, I think Liam mentioned, didn't he? 10,000 members already. It'll be interesting to see the turnout at the Athlone Springs Hotel on Sunday the 19th of February at 2 p.m. And they say it's organised by farmers for farmers. Last week's Ear to the Ground said how there were over 65,000 lambs imported from Northern Ireland and England. Farming groups are same as politicians. Not much use, they believe. That's what they said, not me. How do farmers feel with headlines today that large stores are announcing that they'll be selling less meat into the future? Well, that's it, isn't it? Right. Some warnings here, and I posted two on my Facebook page, and just to get it out there so people understand what's going on, and people are well intended. There's a lot of groups being accessed, and people are putting up fake posts of missing persons. And I have a serious problem with that in that people are sharing them in goodwill, and then when the likes of me, who I would make sure I get proper sources for the information, put up missing persons, they might be less inclined to share it, and that's a nightmare because we all work together to get people home. Or dogs, you know, a dog has been found in Ballabafay and there's a picture of a dog bleeding and people share instantly. But what happens there is about a day or two later, the original person who posted the appeal, who's a scammer, they change that post. They edit the post so it's pushing a diet to a dodgy link where people are exploited for their money or Bitcoin or dodgy financial advice. So just be aware if you are, and I'm not preaching, I'm trying to help here. If you are in these buy and sell groups, it seems particularly, please double check it's actually a missing person, or that there's a lot of giveaways in it if it's a real dog or not, or a cat or whatever it might be, because when you share it, right, your friends trust you, and about a day or two later, or sometimes an hour or so later, that post is changed into a scam post, right, and it's on someone else's timeline from you. They trust you, they click the link, they lose money. There's a lot of scams going around. We had a contact from a listener here, and they say as follows: I don't know where to turn. I befriended a woman online And after some time, she asked for money, which I gave her. It was to buy a plane ticket to come and see me. There was always a reason the flight wasn't booked, and then she would need more money. She would always provide me with the flight details into Dublin. On Thursday, I sent her money, and again on Friday, I sent her money. I've now sent her the best part of €10,000. Her flight's due in this morning, and now she sent me a message at 6 a.m. to say she wasn't coming to me. Again, we exchanged a few messages, ending with her saying to me, goodbye forever. I'm so hurt and I'm so upset. Now I feel totally ashamed that I've been scammed. Please don't feel that emotion. It's not your fault. At night, we had long conversation, exchanged photos. I just find it so hard to accept that I've been conned. I had genuine feelings for her. Is there any way I can recoup this money? I sent it all via MoneyGram. I have receipts for it. I'm devastated by it all. Now I just don't want it to happen to anyone else. Maybe she really is on this flight and is about to con someone else out of a lot of money, but she's not, I'm afraid, listener, she's not on the flight, and she's not a woman either, probably. There are factories effectively set up in far-flung countries and not so far-flung countries either, where teams of people pretend to be a man or a woman, and they do seek out lonely hearts to try and exploit them. They've got loads of pictures. They make sure they've got pictures to cover everything. So what are you doing today? Oh, I'm in the park. Oh, can I have a picture? Yeah, there's a picture of me in a park. You know what I mean? They know what's going on, and it's very easy to get conned by these people. So don't feel ashamed. Feel proud in that you're maybe stopping someone else falling for this. They say all the right things. They know what to say. There's a textbook for it. And as I say, they make sure they've got pictures to cover every eventuality. So even if you start getting suspicious and want to catch them out, they have a picture to prove what they're saying is the truth. This person's lost €10,000. The money was extorted from them, of course, but they did send it willingly via MoneyGram, so I'm not sure what recourse they have in that regard. But just, that's a real person living in your area who's lost €10,000. And not only that too, which is really sad, they've a broken heart. They've a broken heart because they had real strong feelings for this person and were looking to see them, and the person doesn't exist. Probably a fella, could be anything, could be a woman pretending to be a fella, vice versa, who's to say. And unfortunately around Valentine's Day we see more of these. That's why I'm bringing it to your attention now, because there's a lot of couples stuff that's put up on social media, and people can feel extra lonely, and then they can feel, we're very simple as human beings, we're not hard to work out or to kid. People can feel more vulnerable and at the moment because they want someone in their lives. That was a gentleman there that was extorted, but 70% of romance fraud victims are women. Please don't share personal details online. Do not share or receive money online. Investment fraud linked to romance fraud is part of it as well. So there's loads of case studies. If you've been a victim of that, share the details with us and we can share it with others and make sure it may not happen to them. But to that listener, you'll not get the money back, I don't think, but please don't be ashamed. You followed your heart, but next time follow your head.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook and at highlandradio.com. The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union, now offering MyCU current account and debit MasterCard, bringing full banking features, delivered with the same local trustworthy service of your credit union.
You may think you know the Nissan Qashqai, but have you tried it with e-Power? The next evolution in hybrid driving, e-Power uses a petrol engine to charge the electric motor, which always drives the wheels, so you can enjoy all the benefits of electric driving without ever having to plug in. And it's exclusive to Nissan. Book a test drive in the new Nissan Qashqai with e-Power today. A unique electrifying experience, now unplugged. Nissan. Innovation that excites.
Tá virus COVID-19 agus flu ag scapa. Má ein tú de vaccine multa, tór an cosantis fardeit your hinnes from húsach. Agus is féidir le gach duine idirachtaigh agus dahat den blian díis an dara vaccine tan dáilog COVID-19 áil inis ó anad vaccinathe HSE. No choctar tailig, no ó coglasan ran fartach. Fé cadig na vaccine atá multa dit your HSE.ie, no gléir HSE Live a héna 8 shacéad ó aimeanach na seirbhíse sláinte.
Greener choices are the key to a sustainable future. That's why Energia will give you cash back for any excess energy you produce from solar panels at home with our great value microgeneration tariff. Because the choices we all make today will change how we live tomorrow.
New trainers from your favourite brands at Brian McCormick Sports, Brooks, Asics, On Running and Hoka. New Hoka Clifton 9 has a wider toe box and it's softer, giving you that Hoka spongy feeling, making your run more responsive. Step into our safe size experience. Have your feet measured and update your gait analysis. Brian McCormick Sports, Main Street, Letterkenny. Look the part, play the part on bmcsports.ie.
Okay, pretty much anything can happen on the 9 till noon show, and today we've got we've just got a polar bear in studio with us. Where are they? There they are. Hello, polar bear. I don't think you can speak. I can't speak bear anyway. But it's great to have you in studio with us. Seamus Campbell with Special Olympics Ulsters with us as well. Good morning, Seamus.
Morning, Greg.
Does our guest bear have a name?
This is Bear Chills, Greg. Yeah,
Bear
all the way
Chills.
all the way down from the North Pole.
I see what you did there. Okay, right, we're inviting people to get freezing for a reason, because Special Olympics is hosting their annual Polar Plunge in Rathmullen this Saturday, the 18th of February at 3 p.m. Tell us all about it, Seamus.
Yeah, well, this is our sixth Polar Plunge in Rathmullen. Started back in 2015, and then obviously the pandemic put us on stall for a couple of years. So we run our Polar Plunge. It's our second biggest fundraiser in the year. After our collection day in April, we have our Polar Plunge at about 10 different venues around the country. The Polar Plunge in Rathmullen has been the biggest and the best one in the country for a number of years, and we're hoping that this year we're going to get the people of Donegal out again and show their appreciation for all that's to do with Special Olympics.
Right, if you like bears, especially active bears, I suggest you get onto our Facebook page or our YouTube channel, and you'll see Bear
Chills
in all their glory. I wonder why it's always so well supported up here, Seamus. Well, I have a fair idea, but I want to hear it from you.
Yes, community, Greg. You know, the other Polar Plunges are fantastic as well, but just, you know what it was, when we went to Rathmullen way back in 2015, we were just embraced. They just wanted us to be a part of their calendar every year. You know, the way forward, the community group up in Rathmullen, they do so many brilliant things, and they say, you know, this just fits here, and please come and please stay. And we do every year. When we call our first meeting, they are just, everybody's on board, and just the whole community feel to all the people of Rathmullen, not only on the land but on the sea, all the people that we need on the sea as well, and they just there's a great jail there, and it just seems to work, and the generosity of the people. You know, we get big business groups like you know, from different companies come along, and with loads of staff and schools and you know, big groups of people coming along, and the generosity is incredible. So,
and I was there for one of them. There's a great sense of fun. Isn't there? I mean, you know, and a bit of competition there and a bit of crack, and you know what I mean? It's a really nice thing to be involved in.
Absolutely. And the last time around, we even had an initiative called Toss the Boss, where you could take along the manager of your factory or your school principal or whoever and throw them in off the end of the pier. You know, and just to let people know, it's not the pier, it's a pontoon that pulls up along the side of the slip. So don't be worrying, it's very safe, you know, and it seems a much more natural thing to jump in off a pier and get out as quick as you can, rather than running in of a beach, which seems quite very unnatural to me anyway, you know. So, and it's great, you know.
I don't think there's any good option in it, but people love it, and we have a huge population of sea swimmers, all year round sea swimmers as well, and sports people who after training will go in and cool the legs down. It happens all year round, so a lot of people are acclimatized already, or accustomed to it. We'll talk about how the mechanisms of it in a moment, but I want to emphasise, or you to emphasise, what people are supporting. It's Special Olympics Ireland. And what work does Special Olympics Ireland do?
Yeah, well, you know, Special Olympics is sports competition and training for people with learning disability, all, as you say, all around Ireland, all around the world. It's a worldwide organisation. We have, in Donegal alone, we have 8 community clubs scattered all the way from Inishowen down to Ballyshannon, over to Killybegs, back around into Burtonport, and everywhere in between. We have schools, Little Angels, Scully's again. We have day services, and anywhere that people with learning disabilities want to join up their club, they in various different sports. This year, one of our guests on the day will be a very special Olympian, Vicky McGill from Letterkenny here. And Vicky is actually going to Germany in June to represent Ireland at the World Games in basketball. And she's a member of Northwest Special Olympics Club here in Letterkenny. And she is the only Donegal representative this year on Team Ireland. We have a smaller team going this year to a World Games, but ever since the year 2000, we have had an athlete from Donegal take part in world and international games. So, we have a great tradition of having athletes on Team Ireland, and we're looking forward to that. So it's about sport in the community for people with learning disability, and that's what people will be supporting, Greg.
8,000 athletes with intellectual disabilities across over 200 clubs all over Ireland are supported. Great work ongoing all of the time, and I think maybe the Olympics then is the sort of the pinnacle of that, but there's at all different levels there's activities ongoing. You mentioned one special guest. Who is your second?
Yeah, our second special guest is Katie McAteer, and Katie is a local to Rathmullen and someone that Bear Chills here knows very, very well. And Katie represented Donegal at the Rose of Tralee last year.
Excellently as well.
Yeah, and done so well, and she's just great. She just like everybody in Rathmullen, she just gives everything. She throws herself in and gets stuck in. So Katie's going to be there on the day along with Vicky, and they will be our special guests.
All right, and of course Bear Chills will be there.
Bear Chills will be there. You better believe it.
Yeah. I wouldn't like Bear Chills to get wet though, because the fur might take although well used to the cold.
Yeah, anything can happen in Rathmullen, Greg.
You wouldn't know. Right, so it's Saturday the 18th of February at 3 p.m. Now, I think this is the type of thing that it's lovely to say you were involved in. Do you know what I mean? Like if someone says, "What did you do Saturday?" "Oh, we did the plunge for Special Olympics." I think it's a lovely string to the bow to have, and to bring the family up as well. Registration costs €15. Plungers are encouraged to raise an additional €25. So in other words, come up with a total of 50. You pay the 15. Few of your relations, at least another 25, and people will do far more than that. But I know people I would happily pay a tenner to see them go through this. Right? That's
absolutely
part of the motivation, isn't it? Bears Chills would probably pay twice that if they could find their wallet. Plungers who raise an additional €25, so it would be a 50 total, receive a complimentary Polar Plunge t-shirt. So no one can ever deny that they ever took the plunge because they have the t-shirt to prove it. Isn't that right, Seamus?
That's for sure. And just what you mentioned as well is if somebody had to go and do a jump in on their own, it's not half as much fun as taking somebody along with you, because you encourage each other and you prompt and you egg your mate on, and sometimes it does take that wee bit of a push for it to be alongside somebody.
But half the crack is the person that doesn't really want to do it.
Absolutely, there we are.
It's like karaoke. I'm not interested in seeing someone who can sing. I want to see someone murder a song. Do you know what I mean? It's the same with this. I don't want someone who, I'll get more fun watching someone who doesn't want to go into it.
That's for sure. That's for sure.
There's all different types. All right. So people just turn up on the dates at 3 p.m. and is there registration on the...
Yeah, registration. You can register online on the www.specialolympics.com/Polar Plunge Rathmullen, or you can, what a lot of people do is they rock up on the day and they register. But, to help us, if you can register beforehand, it'll give us an idea how many are coming along, and that would be great. One of the big things this year, and we've had it now for a few plunges, we've been in contact with the Irish Navy, and the Irish Navy are bringing one of their Navy vessels, the LE George Bernard Shaw. The same vessel was in 2019, and they will be opening it up to the public. So it will be at the end of the pier.
For young ones as well. Not just
to bring
young
the
ones,
kids.
but it's such a buzz for
them. It's brilliant. We did
just
the
going
tour.
Up the gangplank, is it?
Yeah.
Even up the walkway. That's it's a special thing.
And they'll be opening up for tours of the vessel from 1 to 5. And we're so thankful to the Army and to the Navy, and for the Navy to come in and this is a date in their calendar every year as well. So we're so thankful to all those different groups. So if anybody wants, locally to be able to get on board a Navy vessel and be shown around, it's a huge opportunity.
Okay, so that is the Special Olympics Polar Plunge. It's the annual Polar Plunge. It's in Rathmullen this Saturday, the 18th of February at 3 p.m. It's going to be lots and lots of fun. You're going to be freezing for a reason. And I think nowadays too, lots of people have these because we love pier jumping and stuff, have these warmers that you can stick on straight away afterwards. Lots of people have them now. As I say, lots of good fun. I'm sure there'll be hot drinks around the place as well. Registration just €15 if you can, because it helps with numbers, and maybe they can relax a bit as well. Register in advance. Give us the URL again there, Seamus.
Yeah, so www.specialolympics.com/Polar Plunge Rathmullen.
And we'll link that on our social media as well. Registration is €15. You're encouraged to get sponsorship to raise an additional €25 or whatever you can beyond that would be fantastic. And if you hit that €25 mark, you get a complimentary Polar Plunge t-shirt. But most importantly, you're supporting Special Olympics Ireland, which provides sporting opportunities for nearly 8,000 athletes with intellectual disabilities across over 200 clubs all over Ireland. And you can do no better for your community than to support this event, I think. And weather's not an excuse, really, you know.
Yeah.
Water's pretty chilly.
Yeah,
although it's not quite as chilly this time of year as it might be at other times.
Yeah, although funny, we've been told that the waters are colder in February than they are in December. We were meant to go in December, Greg, but then with Chrysler and all that happened, we said, you know what, we'll push it back.
Yeah.
And so, but the water is colder in February, but
so
it'll be all right.
you're going to be extra freezing for a reason.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
All right, Bear Chills, thank you. You've done fantastic there. Not quite sure what you were trying to say, but I think most of it was, would you speed up, Seamus? It's while warm in here. Because of course, polar bears would be more used to colder climates. It's quite warm in here, Seamus. I feel like dragging this out just to see how long Bear.
I think Bear is sweating for a reason.
That'll be €15, please. Right, okay. We'll be back with. Thanks, Seamus. Thanks, Bear.
God bless you.
We'll be back with more in the 9 till noon show after we take this break.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union, now offering mortgages from €40,000 to €600,000 with no hidden fees or transaction charges. Letterkenny Credit Union, 9102127.
Super Value makes saving money as easy as 1, 2, 3. 1. We match Aldi on the products you love. 2. Great Valentine's special offers like Super Value Fresh Irish Strip Loin Steak, save 33%. Screaming Devil Rosé, €12. And 3. Money off vouchers every week on the app. So, follow the 1, 2, 3 and save money at Super Value. Enjoy alcohol responsibly.
Ready for a change or upgrade? Think Seat. With our wide range of award-winning Seat SUV, including the bold crossover Arona, the family favourite Ateca, or the spacious 7-seater Tarraco. All vehicles come with great offers on finance and PCP options. Book a test drive today by calling DMG Motors on 074 9721 396 or visit dmgmotors.ie. Choose your new 231 Seat with confidence with a visit to DMG Motors, Clara Road, Donegal Town.
Wild Atlantic Way adventures await you this spring with a midweek escape to the luxury Radisson Blu Hotel and Spa, Sligo, from just €120 with complimentary breakfast each morning. Indulge in afternoon tea overlooking Sligo Bay. Unwind with a treatment at the spa. Enjoy a delicious meal in the brasserie. Sit back and relax in Waves Bar, or surround yourself with the best of Sligo's outdoor pursuits right on your doorstep. Book now at radsligo.com for the perfect spring midweek escape.
In the final clearance at Watson Menswear Letterkenny, there's half-price shirts, polo shirts and knitwear. Also, half-price offers on top labels like Super Dry and Penguin. Selected suits and footwear, also half-price. Don't miss out on big savings in the final clearance sale at Watson Menswear, Main Street, Letterkenny, and online at watsonmenswear.com. Also, a great selection of First Communion and Confirmation wear now in stock.
Highland Radio weather updates with Ireland West Airport. Discover Edinburgh this summer with Ryanair's 3 times weekly service. Stunning architecture, endless winding streets and an awe-inspiring castle. Ireland West Airport. Don't just take off, take it easy.
All right, mostly dry weather and spells of hazy sunshine developing for a time this morning. However, during the afternoon, a spell of rain will begin to edge into Atlantic counties, extending nationwide later this evening. Highest temperatures of 9 to 11 degrees in moderate to fresh southwest winds, which is good news. If you're looking to generate energy via wind, and in fairness, there's been quite a lot of Ireland's energy needs provided through wind as of late. Noel Caniff is CEO of Wind Energy Ireland. Good morning to you. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning, Greg. Thanks very much for having me.
It's good to have you on the show. Right, I'm just going to get the one thing out of the way early on. for my own knowledge here, because the opening line here is more wind farms could mean lower energy bills. Now, I was under the impression that the kilowatt rate for wind energy was guaranteed at a much higher rate than it costs to generate it. So how would more wind farms, when there is a locked-in price received for a kilowatt of wind energy, how could more wind farms mean lower energy bills?
Sure. So it goes to how the electricity market works in Ireland. So how it works is there's a wholesale market where the people that produce energy, be it wind farms or gas generators or coal generators, they sell their power into a wholesale market, and then that's bought by the suppliers, the likes of Electric Ireland or Energia or Electricity, who then sell it to consumers around Ireland. What wind energy does is, by having wind there, it pushes the most expensive fossil fuel off the system. So it pushes the coal generators, it pushes the most expensive gas off the system, and it brings down that wholesale price, which then feeds into the electricity bills. To give you an example, in December, during the days when we had the most wind energy on the system, the average price was around €192 in the wholesale market. But on the days when we had the least amount of wind energy, the average price was about 326.
Yeah.
So you're looking
but
at
these energy companies, and we'll get to the positives, Noel. This is not going to be sort of a gotcha on this. That's not my motivation, but I want us all to understand it. That being said, we're seeing electricity prices, wholesale electricity prices, lower than they were before even the invasion in Ukraine. Yet we're being told by energy providers that they've hedged and they've bought in advance, and there's a myriad of reasons that it might be 18 months before the consumer sees any reduction. So when we see an industry treat us like that, it's very hard then to sort of take the positivity that you're trying to give, because it doesn't seem to chime with our reality. Do you get me, Noel? As I say, I'm only just trying to express the feelings that are out there. I'm not having a go at you or the sector, because I know there's a lot of bad press out there and you have to try and counteract that. But I'm just, my listeners, that's what they're going to be feeling here. This fella's talking nonsense, because we're not looking at any reductions in our electricity for a long time to come.
And I can completely appreciate that, because homes and businesses have been challenged around the country over the last 12 months. And that change that we've seen in our electricity prices is because of our reliance on imported fossil fuels. Ireland spends about €1 million an hour on imported fossil fuels, to give you an idea of the scale that we're talking about here. In terms of the lag time that you've spoken about, that is true. We saw prices climb from probably about October 2021, prior to the war in the Ukraine, in terms of international gas prices that started to increase months in advance of that happening. And then there was a lag time in terms of how that then hit people's bills. So there was a lag time on the way up, but unfortunately there's a lag time on the way back, just purely because of the power that we're paying for today was actually bought months ago.
Yeah, because you talk about the savings in December. I think it was 2 billion, was it, in a month or over? Right, but that 2 billion goes into record profits for these companies. You know, if they could find a way to sort of say, right, we've saved some money here, you know, we can discount your power, give us a little bit of hope, maybe stop people struggling to pay their bills, it might be easier for you then to sort of relate your message if it felt fairer, you know, because I know you talked about the slight lag in prices going up, but they went up an awful lot quicker than they're going to come down, and there's just a distrust of the whole. There's just a whole distrust. Now it's probably unfair in a lot of areas, Noel, but that distrust is there, and something drastically. I mean, even here, the government talking about windfall taxes, they recognise what's going on.
And I think that trust is something that the electricity supply companies are going to have to build up with consumers over the next few months, and explain maybe why that lag time is happening. The €2 billion that you referred to, Greg, just to put that into context, that €2 billion was actually the saving that Irish consumers made last year over the course of the entire year, because we had wind energy. So the way to think about that is, if we didn't have wind energy in Ireland, we would have had to pay an extra €2 billion on gas to produce power and to pay for carbon credits.
But I would buy that. I would buy that if I trusted the power companies, but I don't. So that message is lost a little bit on me. But I understand it, and you've had an opportunity to say it. Now, we are in it is really quite remarkable when you look at it. Now, it can go up and down, but, you know, there is a remarkable amount of our energy that is generated through wind.
Yes, so last year 34% of Ireland's electricity came from wind energy. So one time in 3 when people used their ovens, their TVs, their laptops last year, it was because of wind power. So we're one of the best performing countries on the entire planet when it comes to onshore wind energy contributing to our electricity demand. And as I mentioned, that helps to push down the wholesale prices, and bills would be even worse if we did not have that wind energy, is the way to think about it. The goal that we have now as a country is to try and get from a third of our electricity being renewable today to 80% of our electricity being renewable by 2030. So that means that we're going to need to roll out some more onshore wind farms. We're going to need to start solar generation. It's something that we haven't done historically in Ireland, and we've been one of the slowest countries in Europe in that respect. And we've also been one of the slowest countries when it comes to offshore wind energy. So that's a huge economic opportunity for Ireland that other countries with coastlines around Europe have really taken advantage of in the last decade. And we're only coming to the market now with our first offshore wind farms, 1 off the west coast, 5 off the east coast, that will be going in for planning permission this year.
Now, new research shows 4 out of 5 people here support wind farms, but again, it's a factual situation, but doesn't tell the full story, because of course, if you are in the centre of Letterkenny or Dublin or Cork or Kerry, or if you're in a valley, you might go, yeah, wow, okay, it's cheaper electricity, bring on the wind farms. But I would imagine then the people that are opposed to these are those that feel they have to live around them. And I would say in Donegal, because we've got an awful lot of wind farms here, it might not be 4 out of 5. So would you recognise the fact that certainly in counties like Donegal, that maybe we've reached our limit in terms of onshore wind generation? And we need to look elsewhere for that, and then maybe focus more on solar and offshore?
So Donegal's been an incredible success story for onshore wind energy. I think as a county, there's a lot to be proud of in terms of not just powering your own county, but powering much of Ireland over the last 10, 20 years. Some of the earliest wind farms were built in Donegal in the 1990s and early 2000s. I think when it comes to the future for Donegal, there will likely be more onshore wind farms, but certainly there's going to be offshore wind farms and solar, both on the west coast and in other parts of the country as well. When it comes to trying to tackle the problem that we have here, which is a combined issue of climate change and trying to decarbonize the country and trying to become energy independent, to wean ourselves off those imported fossil fuels that are driving the climate crisis, we really need to throw everything at it. So we need more onshore wind energy, we need more solar energy, and particularly we need offshore wind energy as well. So we can't do it without a combination of everything. In terms of the poll that you referenced, on a national level, 4 out of 5 people are supportive of wind energy. And then again, on a national level, only 1 in 20 are opposed to it. When it gets down to that rural area, when the question is asked, would you like to have a wind farm beside your home? 3 in 5 people are supportive of it, and it's still just 1 in 10 that are opposed. So generally speaking, people are in favour of wind energy because, as you mentioned, people recognise that it is saving Ireland money in a time of a cost of living crisis.
Yeah, of course, and it's a good time to ask that question. But as I say, here in Donegal as well, if we're going it from an environmental point of view, we're seeing bogs being torn up for wind farms. An awful lot of the wind farms here are built on peat, so we're pouring concrete in there. Do you know what I mean? Whatever we do going forward, we have to make sure we do it right, because people are astute now. They know what's what, and you can talk about how much it costs to create a kilowatt, but you also have to explain the environmental impact of putting them up in the first place. And I think that's perhaps maybe where messaging could have been improved over the decades, and we might be in a different space now.
Agreed. I think it's something that we've worked a lot on in the last few years. It's something that we need to continue getting better at, is talking to people and communicating much earlier in a project's life cycle, and trying to get the input from communities in the areas, because nobody knows the area as well as the people that are living in it. And there's a lot of information that people can provide to try and change how wind energy should be developed. It would be very unusual nowadays for a project to start its life, engage with communities, and for things not to change. So turbines to be dropped, the size of turbines to be changed, or the location of turbines to be moved. That's happening right across the country in many sites now. So completely agree with you. We need to continue to get better at how we go about developing wind energy, how we communicate with communities, and particularly how we bring the kind of combined problems of biodiversity and energy crisis, climate crisis together.
People in this part of the world have fought tooth and nail through the planning system to register objections. You say things are improving. We hope that's the case. But then when people hear that you guys are calling for maybe, planning to be streamlined or changed, your alarm bells are going to start ringing. But that being said, there are major projects, and we talked about one last week, that get caught up in the planning process and they're effectively, frozen. They don't go anywhere. So what is Wind Energy Ireland calling for in terms of planning processes for wind farms, and does this apply offshore and onshore?
It would, and just to be very clear, we're not talking about limiting people's opportunities to try and provide objections to projects. Everyone has that right. What we're really calling for is the speed of the overall process to be sped up one way or the other in terms of the decision. So there is a statutory time frame at the moment to make a decision on a renewable energy project, a wind energy project, a solar farm of 18 weeks. And in reality, the decision timelines on average are taking closer to 18 months. So that's a long length of time of complete uncertainty, both for the communities in the local area, but also for the developers. And if we can streamline that process, resource up the important planning bodies like On Board Planola, like the National Parks and Wildlife Service, who engage on the environmental aspect of things. If they have the right people and the right expertise, then we can get through these projects in terms of their applications much faster. We're not saying that the decision should be more yes, we're saying that the decision should be faster one way or the other, so that people have certainty, and then we can move on with developing a project or move on with looking at other projects in other areas if they're not going to work out.
Of course, as Greg asked that man what they used to de-ice these wind farms, I think that might be referencing some images that were circulating from a Nordic country, maybe Sweden, helicopters spraying blades. I don't know what they were spraying them with. I don't think we need to do that here. I'm not sure that's happening here. I can't imagine it's happening here. And that's not to I'm not an apologist for the industry, but I just don't think it's happening here. Secondly, well, yeah, it seems a lot of companies are not ditching it, but they're saying, right, no, we need to rely on fossil fuels. Other countries, you know what I mean? We're seeing China, Germany, other places sort of go, right, and even here, we need to keep the coal fires burning. Why is that happening? Because people will look at that and go that it's right. People are starting to catch on now that this wind energy is not all it's cracked up to be. How do you counter that?
No, I don't think that's what's happening.
That's
like,
the
I think
perception,
sure, Germany's situation is that they were incredibly reliant on imported gas.
Almost 100% reliant
they've
on
had
imported
to,
gas.
Exactly, and they've had to really adapt very fast. So they're looking at other ways that they can get their energy. For Ireland, we were also exposed to Russian gas, particularly when it comes to the price. So that's, again, what caused the cost of living crisis. It caused the spike in energy bills. Ireland has an incredible opportunity here. We have one of the best wind resources on the planet. A lot of people don't realize this, but when you look at offshore wind energy, we are one of the largest countries in Europe when you take into account the sea area that we have. The sea area for Ireland is about 7 times the size of our land area. So I often say that we've one of the largest areas in Europe, but 7/8 of it is underwater, unfortunately. But the good news on that side is that we can also get a huge amount of power from the ocean. And that power can help to not just make us energy independent, allow us to set our own prices for electricity, decarbonize the grid, but then it opens up an opportunity to become an exporter to Europe as well. We can actually, instead of becoming being so reliant on fossil fuel imports, which we are at the moment paying €1 million an hour for fossil fuel imports.
We don't have time to get
sell that energy.
Exactly. We don't have time to get into it now, but I also know there are fishers who have seen the plans for where these offshore wind turbines might go, and they are in and around current fishing grounds, and they have their concerns. We've teased that out in the past. We don't have time to do that now. Noel, hope you feel you got a fair crack of the whip. We appreciate your time this morning. Take care of yourself. Noel Kniff, CEO of Wind Energy Ireland.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Simplify your debts with a debt consolidation loan from Letterkenny Credit Union. Call us on 074 910 2126 or apply online via our app or in office today.
2023 is already turning out to be an electric year for Hyundai. Why? Because Hyundai is the best-selling electric car brand in January 2023. And the Ioniq 5 is now officially Ireland's best-selling electric car. Make 2023 the year you make the change to fully electric driving.
Your local dealer is Divers Hyundai, Canal Road, Letterkenny. Call 91 22 600.
Uisce Éireann is the new name for Irish water. A new name and a continued focus on delivering clean, safe and reliable national public drinking water and wastewater services for Ireland. For any questions about service issues or to report an issue with drinking water or wastewater in your area, Uisce Éireann can be contacted 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Call us on 1800 278 278 or visit water.ie.
Are you thinking of changing your car? Then look no further than Inishowen Credit Union for your finance. It's simple. A car loan from Inishowen Credit Union means you borrow the money to pay for your car and the car is yours. No hidden fees or balloon payments. Apply online at www.inishowencu.ie or contact us on 074 9361017. Membership of Inishowen Credit Union is open to anyone who lives or works in the Inishowen Peninsula. Loans are subject to approval. Terms and conditions apply. Inishowen Credit Union is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
With 231 well underway, are you calling in for a look? Sure, call in for a cup of tea or a coffee and let our sales executives show you the options available in our new Nissan range. With an unbeatable range of vehicles, there's only one garage to visit for your next purchase, and that's iMotors. Visit us in Letterkenny or Malin or visit imotors.ie.
Wet n Wild is 20 years in business and would like to thank and reward our loyal customers with a massive 20% off absolutely every product purchased in store during the month of February. Choose from our massive in-store stock of quality outdoor clothing, footwear, equipment and accessories, and 20% discount of all prices will be applied at the till.
The county's #1 talk show, The 9 till Noon Show on Highland Radio.
All right, it is 11 o'clock. It's time for a news update this Wednesday morning. And let's say good morning now to Donald Kavanagh.
Thank you, Greg. Good morning. It's understood Nicola Sturgeon is set to announce her resignation as Scotland's First Minister. She's been in the post for 8 years and is seen as a figurehead for Scottish independence, pushing for another referendum. The SNP leader is due to give a news conference very shortly. A Donegal grandmother is appealing to young people to be wary of TikTok challenges after her granddaughter's hand was severely burned after attempting the hand sanitizer challenge. The 13-year-old now needs to go to hospital every second day in order to get third-degree burns on her hand treated. The Mayor of Letterkenny Milford Municipal District says he's highly disappointed at the lack of adequate funding for Minaroy Bridge in this week's regional roads allocation. Councillor Donal Mandy Kelly says he was surprised to hear the council had applied for €75,000 when he believes it should have received €400,000. He says that surprise turned to anger when the bridge was allocated just €25,000. Councillor Kelly told members and officials he wants to see the inspector's report and is calling for an immediate safety review of the bridge. A planning and design company has been appointed to prepare a town centre first plan for Milford. The process will commence with a first stage of public consultation that opens tomorrow with the launch of the project's website, milfordtowncentrefirst.com. The consultation closes on Thursday, March 9th. An open drop-in event will take place on this day week, Wednesday, February 22nd. A Midlands North West MEP says any deal on the Northern Ireland Protocol must also resolve the democratic deficit in the Brexit Accords. Sinn Féin's Chris McManus says both the British government and EU have been optimistic in recent weeks at potential movement toward a new solution. However, he says given the fact that EU laws will impact on Northern Ireland, a mechanism must be found through which people there can have a say on what's enacted. And Donegal sheep farmers say they don't feel represented. Speaking on today's 9 till Noon show, one of them, Liam McLaughlin, said representative groups do not work together or receive enough support to make an impact on the lives of farmers. And we're back with news headlines again at 12 noon.
All right, Donald, thank you very much indeed for that.
Are you in the process of moving to a new bank? Maybe you already have. Well, if you pay insurance or a pension policy by direct debit, just be sure to change your bank details so your policy continues uninterrupted. It's easy. Just contact your insurer, pension provider or broker today. For more information, visit understandinginsurance.ie/bank exit. Brought to you by Insurance Ireland.
Okay, we were discussing scams a little earlier on, and we had that email from a listener who was scammed out of €10,000, broken-hearted as well. It was what's called a romance scam. And to help us get the message out even further on more of these of scams, we're joined by Father Colm O'Doherty from St Patrick's Church in Lifford. Good morning to you, Father. Thanks for taking the time of your busy morning to chat to us.
Good morning, Greg. Good morning.
Now,
morning, everybody.
You are relating this because is it you or your parishioners or both that have been targeted in this email scam?
One of the parishioners was contacted by the scam yesterday. I only aware of it yesterday at tea time, and somebody else had contacted me to say they were suspicious of a scam that had come into them. So my name was being used, and the thing was to do with gift cards, which appear to be from me, but I don't send out gift cards, and I would never ask people over the internet to make money or give money to me or to any cause. It would be announced at the church. So if there was going to be one, so it's just so difficult for people to sometimes. This is how scammers work. Sometimes because I'm the priest in the parish, people think it is me. In fact, it's not. So you have to be very careful.
Yeah, this is really actually even more worrying in a way than others, because they have the knowledge of and have gone to the bother to identify you as a trustworthy pillar of the community, but also they seem to have been able to ascertain the contact details of people that are connected to you by way of being parishioners. So the Gardaí have a job to do here, because this could be someone with local knowledge as well as it could be an international organisation.
It has been reported. It has been reported to the Gardaí, and I think they are aware that there seems to be a concerted effort by scammers in the Donegal area and I'm very sorry to hear about that story that you ran earlier on about that person who lost so much money. There is definitely something that needs to be. This is a new form of crime that is really becoming very, very prevalent, not just here in Donegal, of course, but everywhere. But unfortunately, we've been hit with it this time.
Okay, so the message is that ignore any emails that purport to be from Father Colm O'Doherty, and I would imagine any other parish priest where they're looking for things. You want to double check, because it seems it would be unusual, wouldn't it, Father, for the local parish priest to be making contact like this, seeking gift cards or what have you.
That's
gifts.
Correct, absolutely. This would not be. This is not official at all, and I just would ask parishioners to be very careful if they're very concerned with anything. If they send out an email concerning business with the parish, that they would contact me first to check it as bona fide, but never be asking for money on an email. Absolutely not.
Okay, listen, thanks for your time this morning to help us get that message
You're
out.
very
Appreciate
welcome,
it, Father.
Greg.
Take
Thank
care
you.
and God bless you. Father Colm O'Doherty there, so please ignore any contacts from him via email seeking gifts or gift cards. And as I say, it's particularly unusual because someone had to obviously identify Father Colm as someone in the area, but also how then did they manage to get hold of parishioners' emails so that they might trust where that information were coming from? It's concerning that. Right, okay. Some of your comments here. Is it true that electric companies are claiming 100 renewable energy usage when they are not? Should they be sanctioned for these false claims? There was one company that was claiming that its electricity was 100% renewable, and they are being investigated for it. So that's exactly what is happening there. So you are correct. But some action is being taken in that regard, we're being told. What are the changes has wind farms made in relation to having turbines on bogland and causes damage such as Mean Bog? Wind energy is developer driven for investors, enterprise to satisfy shareholders. Another here, people rant year after year about politicians going abroad for St. Patrick's Day. It appears this year they think we're capable of looking after ourselves as they are all off. It costs $2,300 to send shamrocks to America for something realistically after the photo op, and it's thrown into the trash can. But their argument is made that it's access to the White House that no other country has. That's the argument that's made. They go on to say, though, have we now all become so immune to this behaviour that we no longer care? Instead of this government listening to its people and its thoughts, it's doubled down and gone full tilt. Okay. I wonder, can Sheila Campbell, CEO of Heart Children, hear me? Are you there, Sheila?
Good morning, how are you?
Good, and it's good to have you with us because our Wellness Wednesday is our conversation now with Sheila Campbell. We're talking about Global Congenital Heart Disease Awareness Month. So talk to us a little bit about it, Sheila.
Okay, so maybe I'll bring it right back to the beginning, Greg, and just explain what congenital heart disease is, because possibly many of your listeners won't be aware of that. So congenital means present at birth, and congenital heart disease is a condition that arises because when a mother is pregnant, her baby's heart does not develop properly during pregnancy. And so that can result in like poor structure, problems with the valves. And it's important to mention that it's an irreparable condition. There are some mild forms of the disease, such as holes of the heart, which are repairable and generally, are things that are able to be fixed, and then the child can get on with the rest of their life. But the more complex forms are irreparable and will need constant surgeries throughout the child's life.
Yeah, and you talk about some that are repairable now. That's advances in medicine. There are people, I'm sure, listening who've lost children with a hole in the heart some time ago when the technology or the people weren't there, the knowledge wasn't there to address that, as it is almost like a matter of course now.
Yeah, there's been huge advances, and that means, that's really impacted on the survival rates of children into adulthood. So 90% of all children born with congenital heart disease now survive into adulthood. So yes, all those advances are happening, as we speak. And so into the future, that figure will continue to rise.
Now, obviously, when a child is born, there are initial checks, and perhaps it's not, obvious from the beginning that there is a congenital heart condition. Is that the case? I mean, how often is it not picked up until later in the child's life?
That can happen, but again, we're speaking about medical advances, and because of advances in scanning technology, 70% of all babies now are picked up at the 20-week scan. So there may be mums listening to you, or expectant mums listening here today, who might already have had a diagnosis and are fully knowing that their child will be born with congenital heart disease. That's positive because it gives them time to prepare and the medical team to prepare. But then there's another 30%, obviously, who are receiving the news at birth. And so it could be that the diagnosis is given a couple of days after birth, or they might be able to recognize the signs. A lot of babies might have a blue colorization cyanosis because of lack of oxygen in the blood. And that's obviously something they'd pick up straight away. But in other cases, it can be a couple of days, it can be a couple of months, and sometimes it can be a couple of years. It can go undetected.
Yeah. And there are then other heart conditions that may become more apparent later in life that might not be classed as congenital heart disease. Is that fair enough assessment?
Yeah, I mean, there can be conditions, or there can be people who die suddenly, and it can be actually put down to undiagnosed congenital heart disease later in life. So, yeah, and I mean, I think the important thing is to say is that obviously, these children and their families are living with a lifelong condition, and with that comes a lot of stress and anxiety. These children could be facing multiple surgeries throughout their life, and that has the impact of trauma, and for everybody in the family, post-traumatic stress disorder can be an issue as well. So what Heart Children do, and what we're here to do and support, I would always say that the care that the children are receiving in Crumlin is fantastic. There's huge funding because there's a structure called the All Island Network. So after the Good Friday Agreement, there was a multi-jurisdiction put in place whereby all children from Northern Ireland are actually operated on in Dublin. So there's a lot of funding and a lot of attention goes into the service in the Children's Heart Centre in Crumlin to make it a world-class centre, which it is. However, when they leave hospital, that's when sometimes the issues can arise a couple of weeks after the immediate care is over, and mum and dad are feeling the effects of the stress of the situation, and obviously their children as well, and the other siblings in the family. I mean, so the effects can be felt by the whole family having a child with CHD.
Yeah, and we'll talk about that a little bit more by way of this conference that's coming. But I want to mention, obviously, as you mentioned there, the majority of these cases are identified at the 20-week scan, and that 90% of children born with the condition now survive into adulthood. But 500 to 600 babies per year are born in Ireland with the most common form of congenital heart disease. So there are a lot of people, thankfully alive today, that are affected by this conversation. And then, of course, their families, obviously, as well.
Yeah, I mean, there's 19,000 people in this country living with congenital heart disease. And I guess, a lot of people will know the word heart disease, but the congenital part makes it a completely different, diagnosis, and the understanding, that people would have around heart disease is totally different for congenital heart disease. It is obviously something that's, it can be random. There's no definitive understanding of how any one child would develop the condition. So, there can be a genetic link, but also it can be a completely random happen chance within a family unit. And so, it is something that the whole family is living with when it occurs.
And I suppose, too, you do live with it. And I wonder, Arthur, how common is it that parents and guardians out there maybe don't recognise the emotional stress on a younger person with this? People, we always talk about how brave young people are, and they are, don't get me wrong, I'm not questioning that for a moment, but maybe they're putting the sunny side out, so to speak. Do we need, if we have a child affected by CHD in our lives, do we need to make sure we know they're okay and they're not suffering mentally in silence?
Yes, absolutely we do. I think it's hugely important. I think one of our most used services, the family support service, and that's the service of a clinical psychologist. And for many young people, I think when they're getting into the teenage years, all the things and the rites of passage that teenagers do, having relationships, socializing, all these things are questionable for when you possibly have a congenital heart disease. And all of that, and possibly, making yourself be different. Most teenagers want to be the same, they all want to be the same as everybody else. And sometimes having a condition like this will mark you out as being a little bit different. And, sometimes what they do need is just somebody to talk to, I suppose, and unburden themselves to. And that's what they're able to do through the clinical support that we offer, psychological support service.
Talk to me about the conference that's coming up on Saturday.
Yeah, so as I mentioned, there's fantastic care in the paediatric service in the Children's Heart Centre in Crumlin. But that care ends when the child is 16 and they transition to the adult CHD centre in the Mater Hospital. So they go from the very protective bubble of being in a children's hospital where, they've grown up knowing all the clinicians and the staff to, arriving into the Mater Hospital, which is a general hospital, with the great unwashed of the public. And, it's a big changeover. It's at a time in their life when there's many issues. And what we're trying to do at the conference is to address some of the practical issues that they need to understand about making the move. They're also now taking over the care of their own condition. So mum and dad are no longer attending the appointments with them. They need to understand the terminology, and they need to be able to take and ingest the advice that they're given, and really take control of their own health and manage their own health. So it's to, in part that's important. It's something that they need to attend to. And also it's to give them coping mechanisms, to understand that, there is help out there, and there are ways and means and other people who they can turn to for help and support.
The conference takes place in the Chartered Accountants House, Pearse Street, Dublin 2. As I said, on Saturday, it runs from 10 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. Is it broadcast? I mean, as you can imagine, travelling from the northwest, either a very, very early start or a very expensive hotel stay on Friday night. Is this in any way sort of semi remote as well, or is it a complete in-person conference?
It's a complete in-person conference because we really felt the benefit of being able to get the young people together into one room where they could get the benefit of seeing, 50 or 60 people at the same age that they are, with the same condition, that I don't think it would have the same impact if they were watching online. And the same for their parents. So we have two different streams of programs for parents and for adolescents. So we really felt that the benefit would be had if people were there in person. That said, our keynote speaker is Dr. Lisa Morton, who is a counselling psychologist who's written a book about improving standards in CHD care and just coping mechanisms for adults. And we will be recording her session, and that will be available for people to view following the conference if anybody's not able to make it. And if anybody wants to inquire about attending, they can just email info@heartchildren.ie, or if they're interested in watching the video link when we have it, also maybe send us an email and we'll arrange to get it to them.
Okay, thank you very much for your time this morning. I really appreciate it. Sheila Campbell there, CEO of Heart Children. And I understand that, Dublin is the centres of excellence and all of that, but I just wonder if a 10 a.m. start on a Saturday is going to exclude people here in Donegal, but I'm sure it's by accident rather than design. But anyway, hopefully there was some information in there that you found useful. A caller says it took me 43 years to find my congenital heart condition. So don't give up if you know something isn't right. Keep on it, which is good advice, generally speaking, about your health, I think. Often people are discharged or hear something from a GP or whatever, and it doesn't, there's something else going on here. I don't, but then they go, right, you know what? It's good news. I'm just going to listen to it. Trust yourself. You're normally right. A caller says, my son recently bought a car and was doing some work to it. It was up for NCT, so I took it for him. While driving to Donegal town under the speed limit, I met a speed van, and after a few days I got a letter to say it was fined €60 for no tax. Does anyone know, can a speed van do this? Can I appeal this as the car's not ready for the road yet? This is interesting. This is the second contact we've had from a listener who was done for no tax by a speed van. Now, obviously, the law's the law and all that kind of stuff. But I find myself driving, well, maybe it would know, but I found myself driving with no tax disc because there was a delay in the tax disc. But I presume the system would be updated to say it was taxed. But if you get a new car, if you're waiting on the logbook, as it used to be called, you could be driving legally with no tax, I think. And people are getting fines in the post from a speed van. I can't believe we haven't been informed of this. If it's the case, I've no doubt now, two listeners saying the same thing. How do you appeal it? Does that mean you have to go into court and appeal it? Or can you do it by post? It sounds like a court appearance to me, because you're going to contest it, because, you were taking the car to get NCT'd. And that has to be tested. Is that a legitimate excuse? Any more information on static cameras sending out, well, they're not sending them out, but identifying cars that aren't taxed, and then, of course, letters being sent out. 2 listeners so far have been done in that regard. All right, okay. Small farming businesses is on the way out, just like our small fishing industry operations. It's all about big enterprise and investors. Well, the fishing industry and the farming industry are pushing back. They're not going to accept it. They perhaps see that that's the direction of traffic, and they're saying, hold on you a moment here. We're not going to accept that, and we feel that organisations that represent us aren't making that point strongly enough, I presume. So that's why that meeting's taking place in Athlone. A caller says, all our TDs and ministers away for St. Patrick's Day, but Bertie Ahern staying at home to keep an eye on our finances. Good man, Bertie. In safe hands. Did any listeners see the spat yesterday between a Fine Gael government minister and opposition TD accused the minister of smirking while he was making his point? I watch Oireachtas TV, and smirking from the government side, especially Fine Gael, in my opinion, is visible as some form of upmanship. I wonder, are they advised to act like this? Nothing surprises me anymore. But listen, okay, I get where you're coming from here, but I try and be fair. The government politician might feel that maybe the opposition politician is playing political football or something. The smirk might not necessarily be to trivialise the issue in question. It might be as if to say, come on here, what would you do different if you were over on my side, or something. But yeah, I get you. You need to be aware that the camera's on you all the time. On our way home from Letterkenny yesterday, I too noticed a lot of roadside rubbish. Within minutes, an open back lorry passed us with a load of wooden pallets wrapped in cling wrap, and it was shedding with the force of the wind. While in transit, I saw a chunk of it fly off and flew away into the backflow of the lorry. It made me say to myself, this is only adding to the problem, I guess. Not blaming any one person, it's a collective problem. All right, Fidalma, thank you for that. Why can't council people, when filling in potholes, etc., grab a black bag and collect nearby rubbish? What about people on unemployment schemes? Like, this is... I understand where you're coming from, right? But we are expecting... People are dumping stuff out of their car because they can't be bothered, right? There is an argument about the cost of disposal. I get that, but come here, they're doing it because they don't care. Let's be truthful. So rather than sort of target them, we pay people who are on back to work schemes or whatever money to go and pick up their rubbish. I'm not sure that that's not fixing the problem. Caller says vaping inside is becoming a problem now. I hate the thought of inhaling the residue from this. Back to rubbish here. Perhaps if signage was reduced, that would be a place to start. Many of these offer hotels, bars, restaurants and other tourism businesses, some far from their immediate area of operations. Regards. It's tough old business. I don't mind those signs. I know what you're on about, and I think signage into Letterkenny one time was flagged as a negative in an IBAL survey. But I don't know. It's a tough old business out there at the moment. I wouldn't begrudge someone a sign, but anyway, that's just me. Me feeling that doesn't mean you're wrong. You're right, because that's what you feel. Less signs, and you'd think the place would look prettier. For me, it's an okay sacrifice, but we're all different and all different views. My surgery is now charging €20 for blood tests to medical card holders. Can they do this, Kay? Yes, they can, dependent on what they're for. And I hope I'm getting this right in my memory, Kay. If they're for diagnostics, right? So if you are saying, right, I've got this problem, and the doctor goes, right, okay, well, this might show up in your bloods, they should be free, if I understand it correctly. If you're saying, look, can you check my bloods just for routine checking my bloods, then that is not free as far as I'm aware. If I remember correctly, blood tests for diagnostics of I think it has to be of a certain level of something as well. Does it have to be a chronic illness as well? I'll have to double check, Kate. But not all blood tests are covered by the medical card. So unfortunately, no good news for you in relation to that. I want to mention again that a Letterkenny Hospital campaign meeting is taking place tomorrow night in Dillon's Hotel at 7:30 p.m. The tagline is, if you care, please be there. I'll read a little bit of it here. Following on from last month's successful National Day of Action at Letterkenny University Hospital, campaign organisers are inviting all concerned individuals who signed up and those who have an interest in becoming involved to come along to the group's next meeting. It's at Dillon's Hotel, as I mentioned, tomorrow night, 7:30. All are welcome on the night, especially reps of staff and patients and public representatives to help plan the next steps for the hospital campaign. Okay, quick break. Next guest on the way. We're heading to Mayville.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Do you need to switch your current account or loan? We are now offering MyCU current account and debit MasterCard, bringing full banking features and competitive rates switch your loans.
Are you in the process of moving to a new bank? Maybe you already have. Well, if you pay insurance or a pension policy by direct debit, just be sure to change your bank details so your policy continues uninterrupted. It's easy. Just contact your insurer, pension provider or broker today. For more information, visit understandinginsurance.ie/bank exit. Brought to you by Insurance Ireland.
I've just had the Eclipse Cinemas experience. Wow, they truly have taken a night at the movies to a whole new level. Amazing recliner chairs, director's lounge VIP rooms, pizza and hot food served to your seat. Have a glass of wine and enjoy the film on the big screen. Try it for yourself at Eclipse Cinemas Bundoran and Lifford Strabane, where the stars shine brighter. By the way, the pizzas are amazing. You can book your seat anytime at eclipsecinemas.ie.
Don't just do okay in your career. Do great at Allstate. Don't settle. Soar. Don't procrastinate. Innovate. Don't do mediocre. Do magnificent. At Allstate. Great work. Great life. Great people. Where great opportunities await. Search Allstate NI Careers today.
National Broadband Ireland is delivering high-speed fibre broadband under the National Broadband Plan to homes, schools and businesses across rural Ireland. We're laying the groundwork for a network that will cover 96% of Ireland's landmass, delivering enough fibre cable to wrap around the entire world almost 4 times. To find out when you can get connected, simply check your air code at nbi.ie. NBI, building a limitless Ireland. Supported by the Government of Ireland.
Okay, so over the last day or two, we've been talking about illegal dumping, and then by coincidence, someone texted in a little earlier today talking about signs and how signs are a blight. Some are okay, they're legit, others are illegal, but it seems to be a problem recognised in Moville. And Aoife Gillen is Secretary of Moville Tidy Towns and joins us now. Hi, Aoife, good morning to you.
Hello, Greg, and thanks for having me on, and thank you to your listeners.
No, it's our pleasure. Right, okay, so obviously we wouldn't be talking about it if there was a sense that illegal signage is a problem around Moville, Aoife.
That's correct, Greg, and it's not just Moville, it's all over the county. Some of your listeners may not be aware, but Donegal County Council, they actually have a policy on authorised advertisement signs, and obviously it applies to Moville and the whole of Donegal, so we just really want to highlight that, and it was actually highlighted by the Tidy Town adjudicators in the last report. So we're really appealing to businesses and residents just in and around the town to help us with decluttering as such of these advertising signs.
Now, obviously, and I mentioned just before the break there, you know, it's a tough time for business. Many might be struggling, and this might just be the competitive edge they need to keep the lights on and to keep local people employed. Are those also the types of signs that we're talking about, or are we talking about old tatty signs that are no longer relevant?
You're right, and we know it is a tough time for business, so it would be great if businesses could look maybe at alternative ways to advertise, so from social media and newspapers, and sure, even on Highland Radio, you know, instead of these signs. But we're not referring to the permitted signs. So Donegal County Council does have a permit kind of policy in place where if you do want to advertise, you can go down that road. These are more you see them along the lamp posts and they're bolted up and things like that coming into the town. It's those signs that we're referring to. And you're right, some of them are getting really tabby looking. Others, you know, maybe they might not even be in business anymore. So that's the kind of things that we're trying to address and really trying to reach out to businesses and the community as a whole to support us on this.
Yeah, well, I never understood why we, into towns like Moville, Letterkenny, Donegal Town, wherever it might be, where the council have maybe a nice digital sign up, one sign that can be shared space or can be there, you know, that the businesses can avail of. And then really crack down on the signpost signs, but then it levels the playing field, you see, because if I run I don't want to pick it, I'm going to say a random business. Say I have a bakery, right? I don't think there's multiple bakeries in Moville. So say I have a bakery and you've a bakery, Aoife, and we've both got 2 signs up. Really, we're both going to need to take the signs down, aren't we? Because if I take mine down and you don't, you get a competitive advantage. So this requires a buy-in, I think, from all business. But I would love to see a logical alternative put in place, maybe some sort of a digital sign that it rotates on, you know, something that's pretty but in a visual spot. You know, in other words, let's say we've got a problem, we need a solution, but also try and think outside the box a little bit.
You're right, Greg, and actually in most towns and villages throughout Ireland there's fantastic information signs for tourists, and they offer these advertising in like one central location. So that's something to really look into. You know, the power of social media, you know, your regular newspapers, all of that. We definitely want to encourage businesses to look outside the box. And one town in particular, a neighbouring town that we really look up to, is Malin, who, you know, they're famous for their Tidy Town competition results. They have a very strict policy on these advertising signs. So we want to kind of follow suit, but at the same time, respect that businesses need to advertise and look at alternative ways that they can do that in the local community.
Because I do understand what you talk about when you talk about, you know, social media, Highland Radio, newspapers, websites. I get that, but particularly I think coming into the summer, there's a passing casual trade, you know what I mean? And it's that's when you sort of pay your bills for the winter in many cases. So I just really do feel there needs to be alternative. Are you asking at this point, Aoife, for businesses to hear you and do this voluntarily rather than sort of saying, right, County Council, you need to crack down on this? Is it a softly approach initially?
Yes. we'd like to educate and engage with local businesses and residents to help us keep the place looking well. And so what we're asking is if they could remove any of the illegal signage that is already in place and then refrain from adding any new ones. But as you said earlier, looking at alternatives, so from, them central advertising locations within the town to maybe like the post office, to the local stores, things like that, where we get a good influx of people, and looking at, doing things in an alternative way and a more eco-friendly way as well.
Okay, well, I mean, as you identified, it's narrow margins when it comes to Tidy Towns adjudication, and there's incredible competition right across the county and the country, and it's these little deductions that really, I suppose, if you're involved in the Tidy Towns, you can feel like you're banging your head off a brick wall. So I presume that's the motivation here.
It is, but it's not just for scoring points on the Tidy Towns report. Ultimately, we want the place looking well. We want tourists to come back. So we see that there are multiple benefits to the local community in making the place look well. So this is just one element that we're looking at. And I would like to thank the local community and local businesses for their ongoing support in this regard. And just a shout out, we have recommenced our weekly litter picks and gardening and general tidying of the town. So we're always looking for volunteers as well. Even if it's just keeping outside your own business or your own house tidy, it does go a long way, Greg.
Aoife, finally, have you noticed any trends in littering? Is it worsened at all? Because in other parts of the county we've been discussing over the last wee while, people seem to be more inclined to dump illegally. Any trends like that in and around the beautiful Moville?
Yeah, one issue, and we're really going to focus on it as well this year, is the amount of dog mess along our beautiful shorefront. So we've often been, we've heard from tourists that the front shore, the green, is the gem of Moville. But we'd really appeal to dog walkers, not everybody. I'm not tarring everybody with the same brush. I have 4 dogs myself, but if everybody could just be responsible and clean up after their dogs, that's one of the main issues that we're having right now. You do get the odd fly tipping issue as well, and over the green, we do our Saturday cleanups every morning, but if we could all just pull together and concentrate in those kind of hot spots, that would be the main one. Yeah, and I'm glad you recognise that. I think it's a very small percentage of irresponsible dog owners, and it's a tough old space to own a dog at the moment, because everywhere you turn there's bad stories about dogs, but it's a minority, a very small minority. But a couple of dogs over the course of a week walking every night can put a lot of poo along the way. So Aoife, listen, keep up the great work, you and the crew at Moville Tidy Towns. We appreciate your time this morning. Thank you very much, Greg.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much.
Have a lovely Wednesday. All right, that's Aoife there. She's right. Just look at signs for a festival that runs in the summer. They've been up since last year. How come these are ignored? And as I said, the event is only on in the summer. I don't know, but there's just a severe lack of enforcement. I'm sure everyone's up to their ears. But, I mean, there's a lot of stuff could be resolved just with a few letters, a bit of enforcement, people out and about in the streets. While I agree with them, we have to be fair to businesses, especially new businesses trying to get established. They need these signs, and I hope you understand that I recognise that as well, and try to put that point of view across, not only in that interview, but also in following on from a previous text. It's a tough time to make business, and not every business has the resources to advertise either. All right. You know I like my air fryers. Some people say Ninja are the best. Lots of people say Ninja are the best. They are incredibly, incredibly popular. How would you like to win a cracking Ninja air fryer? It's a big one too. They're a great way to cook. Saves putting the oven on. You can do anything in them as well. Whatever you want to do, you can do. And you cook in less time. Brilliant stuff. I'm a big fan of them, as I've said before. We've teamed up with Irwin Expert Electrical. I've dealt with them before, a lovely company. For this fantastic giveaway, we're giving one lucky winner the chance to win the much sought after Ninja 9.5 litre foodie air fryer. You need the big literage, because it's no point getting a small one and trying to feed the whole house on it. So this is a biggie. It's 9.5 litres. All you have to do nothing except head on over to Instagram. Our Instagram page is Highland Radio Donegal, and you follow a couple of simple steps, which are for you on Instagram. Winner will be announced on Wednesday the 15th of January over on the Instagram channel. So get on over to Instagram at Highland Radio Donegal, and and the steps there as to how you can win that Ninja 9.5 foodie air fryer. Kieran, you're a healthy enough old fella, aren't you? Do you use an air fryer yet?
Less old. No, I don't actually, but I heard you.
I didn't mean it like that.
I heard you chat about it before.
Well, I've been banned from speaking about them.
Have you?
Yeah, because apparently I'm too enthusiastic.
Well, the ban has been lifted for this morning.
It was lifted when all of a sudden Katie got an air fryer.
Right.
Now she thinks it's the best thing ever, but it was me told her, and then there's other people.
I'm extremely curious, so I'll just have to satisfy my curiosity and probably buy one.
Well, save you a fortune. Save you a fortune. Cook quicker. Healthy food, no fat. All drips away. All right. Anyway, win one. The Ninja Air Fryer. It's the much sought after 9.5 litre food air fryer. All you have to do is head over to the Instagram page at Highland Radio Donegal, follow the steps there, and the winner will be announced on Wednesday the 15th. That's today. Later today. Sean, what time is the Caroline? What time's the air fryer being given away at? It's this evening, is it? 3, 4, 5? This evening. Right, you don't have long. You've only got 4 hours to get onto Instagram and get involved in that competition. Right, going to take a break, and then, as you may have guessed, we're going to be back with Business Matters with Kieran O'Donnell.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook, and at highlandradio.com. The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, offering low-rate car loans with fast approval. Apply online at letterkennycu.ie or in office today.
At Cherrymore Kitchens and Bedrooms, we are now operating out of one new state-of-the-art showroom in Donegal Town. And we invite you to visit our new 5,000 square foot Donegal Town showroom to discover the latest eye-catching designs. Remember, at Cherrymore, you're dealing directly with the manufacturer, which means high-quality kitchens at factory prices. Start planning your dream kitchen or bedroom by calling Cherrymore on 074 9725 822. Cherrymore, 25 years delivering value, quality and service all over Ireland.
Open your future by attending a Northwest Regional College Open Day. This is your opportunity to visit your local campus, tour the fabulous facilities, sample the NWRC experience, and apply for your course. Running from 12 noon each day, beginning 28th of February, Strabane campus, 1st of March, Strand Road and Springtown campuses, and 2nd of March, Limavady and Greystone campuses. Register to attend to be in with a chance to win an iPad. Northwest Regional College Open Days. From here to career.
Joe Walsh Tours are delighted to announce that the annual Rafo Diocesan Pilgrimage to Lourdes will return in 2023. Fly direct from Derry Airport on May 23rd and spend 5 nights on a fantastic pilgrimage to the beautiful Shrine of Lourdes with the Rafo Diocese. Call 01 241 0800 for details.
McCullough Jewellers in Letterkenny are synonymous with fine jewellery, quality watches and giftware. With stores at Main Street, Letterkenny and the Letterkenny Shopping Centre or online at ormccullough.com. You can choose from their quality product range in a relaxed atmosphere, and their sales staff will be happy to help you make the right choice whatever the occasion. McCullough Jewellers, making moments magical for generations.
Guess what? What? Larkins of New Mills are offering an early bird special for only $6.95 Monday to Friday from 12 p.m. to 4 p.m. A full menu is available 7 days per week along with daily lunch specials. Call in any time to Larkins of New Mills or phone 074 91 266 97 and let our family look after yours.
Business Matters in association with ATU Donegal's Faculty of Business. If you're an owner or manager in a food production business, consider the new 1-year Level 8 Higher Diploma in Food Business and Product Innovation. It's just 1 3-hour lecture weekly. Call 9186600 or email gary.mcgill@atu.ie.
Okay, Business Matters podcast live for you right now on our website, highlandradio.com, or on Spotify or iTunes. It's presenter Kieran O'Donnell in studio with us now. Good morning, Kieran. Thanks so much for joining us again.
Good morning, Greg. Good to see you.
How was your week?
Very good.
Excellent, okay.
Very good. And yours?
Fine. You know yourself. Dragging the devil by the tail.
Yes, like the rest of us.
Isn't that what they say?
Like the rest of us.
Running down the clock. Right, okay. Let's get some news. A new workshop series has been launched.
Yes, yesterday morning, Greg, over 40 micro businesses and sole traders from around Donegal started the first of 3 workshops, and that is to help them better understand their finances with award-winning accountant online.ie CEO Larissa Feeney. So they're undertaking the course with Donegal ETB's Further Education and Training Service in partnership with Donegal Women and Business Network. So good to see local agencies collaborating there for the local businesses, Greg.
Yeah, for sure. Progress being made on a new innovation centre.
Yeah, a big news story earlier in the week, Greg. Contracts for the design and development of the Letterkenny 2040 Strategic Urban Regeneration Site, which will include the new Alpha Innovation Centre and Beta Business Centre, were signed yesterday. So these centres, which will be funded by the Border Enterprise Development Fund, administered by Enterprise Ireland, are expected to play a key role in attracting and stimulating investment and employment. So these centres are going to be built, Greg, on lands between Pierce Road and Port Road. I think it's behind where the old ASB offices were.
I haven't a clue what you're talking about.
As far as I know.
And I don't mean that facetiously.
Across from the theatre, up on the left.
What pub's it close to? No, I'm only joking. I'm only joking. I do know where you're on about with when you talk about
the Pulse probably nearest.
Oh, right, I know where it is now.
Up on the left. And there. And there.
Hey, come here. I like this. Talked about St. Patrick's Day's parade because it means we're heading into the spring and the longer evenings and the brighter mornings.
A timely reminder of the season.
Sometimes when you start talking about Christmas in October and you go, oh, come on. It's nice to talk about St. Patrick's
Very much.
Day.
Yeah. Just a shout out, Greg, from Letterkenny Chamber to community groups, schools, bands, companies and businesses who would like to be part of this year's parade to get in touch with the Chamber, and they can do so by emailing info@letterkennychamber.com or telephoning 07491 24866 for an application form.
It's a great thing to get involved in. A great thing for groups and schools and bands, but it's a great way for businesses and companies, and I hope they realise it as such, to put their wares out there on show and a bit of innovation there as well. It can give you the wee competitive edge. I hope people still see it for that.
Yeah, I suppose
it's a bit old school, right?
Yeah,
but I'll tell you one thing: it's effective.
Yeah, you have a big audience, I suppose. Out of sight, out of mind, or in sight, in mind is probably the case when it comes to the parade and the floats and etc.
I wonder, are they still allowed to throw sweets from? Because I would say health and safety. You don't want to get I'm sure orange chocolate in the eyeball.
They'll place them in your hand, I suppose, to throw them at you if you just don't get the switch, Greg.
Health and safety gone mad. Anyway, listen, it's going to be a great day, as it always is, and there's the fantastic parades right across the region, which we'll be highlighting, of course, as we edge ever closer. National Award for a local photographer. This is Stevie Toy. I've worked with Stevie, right? And I'm only saying this because we're a local community, aren't we? We're local people. And Stevie was a pleasure to work with, so I'm delighted to see Stevie being recognised.
Yeah, well, he's been rewarded for his good work, Greg. As you say, Stevie has been named Irish Wedding Photographer
Wasn't a
of
wedding
the Year.
now.
Okay, for at the 2023 Irish Wedding Awards. So the awards recognised exceptional specialists and suppliers that go above and beyond to ensure the uniqueness of every wedding. And Stevie, as you say, is a well-known photographer and graphic designer and owner of Logo Pics.
Yeah, and as I say, I have no personal relationship with Stevie, and I'm sure there's loads of other photographers, but once I'd worked, he'd worked with us just to recognise that. Okay. Oh, this is a toughie now. And I don't really know if the government have figured out what they're going to do about the hospitality VAT rate. But listen, those in the industry aren't happy about it.
Yeah, Taoiseach Leo Varadkar has indicated that a decision on the hospitality VAT rate is likely to be made by Cabinet later this week. So the 9% VAT rate for industry is due to expire at the end of the month, Greg, and industry locally has expressed concerns about the negative impact a return to the 13.5% VAT rate could have on
What do you do
business.
about that, though? Because, obviously, we know what the gouging that goes on right down the country. If there's a concert planned or organised or a football match or a boxing match, prices go through the roof. And it's not just the last one or two rooms, it's across the board. Now, it doesn't happen, I don't think, as much here in the Northwest. There's still good value to be had. But you look at the industry and what it does to its customers with those government supports. If I were making that shout or that call, I would say, right, okay, we need to put something else in maybe that doesn't reward people for their bad behaviour, but also does support businesses that are genuinely, just trying to keep the head above water and to support local employment. I think they need to come up with a different way of thinking about it, Kieran, because as I say, I really don't want some of these businesses down the country particularly to be rewarded for what they do to the public.
Yeah, I suppose that's one way of looking at it, Greg. The other way of looking at it is the likes of Paul Diver there from the Sandhouse, who's the Donegal spokesperson for the Federation, Irish Hotel Federations. They see it as a possible sort of hammer blow to an industry that's still recovering.
I get that.
So what the right or wrong is, I don't know. The fact that they're still pushed it down the road a wee bit.
Even if the supports were profit linked, right? So if you are a Dublin hotel, and there's some, they're not all at it, don't get me wrong, but if you're a hotel or a business that for no good reasons charge an €8 a pint, or €15 for a sandwich and a bottle of water, or if you're tripling your prices just because a football match happens to be on. If they looked at it and said, they have all the accounts, all the lodgings are made every year, they targeted the supports or the deductions based on good business practice. It's like in business or in a company, if you reward the people that are bad equally to those that are good, well, then those that are good lose interest and go somewhere else. And I just think they could look at this in a different way, whereby they are supporting the businesses that are just trying to recover, like you say, but not rewarding those that are shafting us at every opportunity. Kieran, but it's above our pay grade. But I would just like to see something a little bit different. What do you think, listeners? 086 60 25,000. We're both very sympathetic, Kieran, to local businesses. We get that, but I think we know.
Yeah, I suppose the other thing, Greg, is how much of that increase has been passed on to the customer when it's in effect anyway. And then is that the reason that people and business in the sector will say, look, it's too much and we're going to lose people? But if it's across the board, they're going to have to pay it anyway. So it's
exactly right. Okay.
Hopefully it'll work out for the industry as well.
Yeah. Now I recognise that food and drink, I don't believe this applies to, and I did reference food and drink. But I'm on about as part of an overall business in areas where.
But their argument would be that it's all encompassing. Yeah. If it's a fixed wedding or a dinner dance or a pint or a night out or a function, that's going to be affecting the price regardless.
Mm-hmm. Right. Okay. Right, that's the news. Thanks very much for that, as always, Kieran. Let's get on to the contents of this week's Business Matters. Who's your guest?
Yeah, I'm joined by the founder of Donegal Natural Soap Company in Glenties, Isabel Sanga. Isabel began making soap for family and friends, Greg, and set up her company in 2010. She's always searching for new Irish ingredients to use and promote in her product range, which currently stands at 35. A graduate of aeronautical engineering, she also holds a master's degree in bioengineering. And during our conversation, I asked Isabel, when did she decide to make a business through her soap making?
My husband's an accountant, so when I, started to think about possibly wanting to go into shops, he said, Isabel, you have to do your market research. So I put a couple of samples together, I packaged them. It had a bow around it. And I went off to shops actually just around Letterkenny. And I also looked at what was on the market. Was there other Irish products? Where was my niche? So there really wasn't a huge amount of Irish handmade soap then. This was back in 2010.
Did that make up your mind to go for it then?
Yeah, well, the feedback from the shops and the pharmacists and the health food shops that I went into was, yes, definitely, a niche for this product, and they would have definitely taken it on. So that really made me go away and feel confident. And, I also asked questions about packaging, size of the bar, price point. I got really valuable information from that research. So it was very valuable.
All right, fascinating conversation by the sounds of it, Kieran.
Yeah, Isabel, she started, as I said in the interview, making soap.
Could you stop clicking the pen?
Making soap for
this desk here now.
For her family and friends, and decided back in 2010 to give the business a go. She started small and she scaled up the business in terms of what the time she's able to manage to give to the business. She has 4 children. They're getting a wee bit older now, and she's taken it in stages. So very interesting.
Yeah, and a really attractive business and product, because a lot of people want that natural, with different skin sensitivities and what have you, but also sourcing Irish ingredients, leaning on her degrees and stuff.
And very much, I suppose, supporting local as well. So a lot of her products contain a lot of locally sourced ingredients. And she's also a member of the Donegal Designer Makers. And I suppose being her own boss, she's got the flexibility of being able to give time to the business and still being able to give time to the family.
Brilliant. The full interview with Isabel is available to download now or stream from our website, highlandradio.com, or Spotify or iTunes, and also popular on a Sunday evening, Kieran, on the radio.
Yeah, after the 6 o'clock news, Greg, on Sunday evening.
And if anyone wants to get in touch with you,
drop an email, businessmatters@highlandradio.com.
All right, Kieran, listen, thanks as always. Look forward already to seeing you next Wednesday. We really appreciate your time this morning.
Good morning, Greg.
Business Matters, in association with ATU Donegal's Faculty of Business. If you're an owner or manager in a food production business, consider the new 1-year Level 8 Higher Diploma in Food Business and Product Innovation. It's just one 3-hour lecture weekly. Call 9186600 or email gary.mcgill@atu.ie.
All right, you're welcome back after that very short promo there. The traffic wardens in towns, they have them handing out fines for no tax as well. Yep, I think everyone knows about that. I think everybody knows about that. It's the fact that some people are claiming the speed vans are tagging them. Again, we've had no official confirmation, and it possibly could be that the car was parked somewhere and it was a traffic warden or other. But I think if traffic vans are actually doing this now, it'd be good to know officially. Are they sure they didn't get booked somewhere when the car was parked? That's the alternative, you see. That's why I'm suspecting that maybe... I don't know how it would work. Good morning, Greg. I just wish to say thanks to the HSE Scally Place outpatient staff. Friday afternoon last, I attended for an appointment. From Donna at reception and nurse, my experience was positive. 3, perhaps 4 clinics going on at the same time, so the waiting area had a constant change of patients in it. As doctors passed by the waiting area, it appeared to me that although in some cases their first language wasn't English, their friendly smile and acknowledgement to each of us waiting was quite noticeable, and for me made my visit more pleasant than expected. Thanks, Kathleen. So nice to pass that on, Kathleen. And we are always more than happy, by the way, to shine a positive light where you want it shone as well. A caller says there's a lot of foreign beef being used in Ireland at the moment. Restaurants and shops selling beef should be stating where the beef is coming from. There are some who sell it purporting that it is Irish beef when it is not. Where is the traceability for this? There should be regular checks on this, and there does not appear to be. But how do you know it's foreign beef being sold under the guise of Irish beef? Some companies, I think, the likes of McDonald's, make a big play and a selling point that they use Irish beef. I've seen signs in other restaurants that say it's Irish beef. It's a big charge to say, though, that some are mis-selling their beef. How would you know that? Do you work within the industry? Let us know. 08660 25,000. Can the trees that are overgrown on the approach road from Greencastle to Moville that are blocking out the view of the foil also be cut down, I think they're saying, or trimmed? Also, cutting out people using the top path on the green. The trees are badly overgrown. Cheers. Okay, that's in the Moville area. Maybe that's something the Tidy Towns or a local councillor might take up. Apparently trees blocking the view of the foil and also interfering with a path. Caller has been trying for 6 months to get a street light at a zebra crossing in Manacunningham fixed. He's been in constant contact with the county council, who keep assuring him that it will be fixed, but it's still not fixed. I wonder, is that a TII problem? Maybe if it's on a main route, it could be Transport Infrastructure Ireland that you need to get onto, may I suggest, respectfully. Query re the roundabout at Letterkenny Shopping Centre, which is the correct lane when you're coming from the old Aldi side over to Pierce Road. No one seems to know there should be, and crossing over each other all the time. It's very confusing and will cause an accident. Right, okay, my understanding is, I'm not sure it's different for this lane, but if you turn off, if you're exiting the roundabout before, as the clock strikes 12, i.e. directly in front of you, then you use the left lane. So my understanding would be that the right lane would be for going up the town or coming back the way past the shop that you mentioned. And the left lane would be for the shopping centre, out the Derry Road, let's call it that, and then the Pierce Road, I think you referenced it, yeah. So I would say the left lane. Now, unless it's signed otherwise, I don't know. I don't really use that road that much in that way. But my understanding was, unless it's signed otherwise, that If it's 12 o'clock or before, you use the left lane. If it's 12 o'clock or after, unless otherwise indicated, it's the right lane. I think there's some N15s or N14s written on the road. I haven't a clue, man. I didn't build them. How am I supposed to know which one is which? Anyway, correct me if I'm wrong. 086 60 25,000. Look, that's where we have to leave it for another day, unfortunately. But the good news is we're back with you tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock. For me, Greg Hughes, and Caroline Orr, who researched and produced the programme, we shall chat to you tomorrow morning at 9. Stay tuned. Job Resonance coming up around the northwest just after the news headline.